Settle into your bed. Let your body grow heavy, sinking into the comfort of your mattress. Feel the gentle weight of your blanket, a safe and warm anchor in the quiet of your room. Let the worries of your day dissolve, fading like ripples on a calm pond. We are about to begin a journey, not of grand events or dramatic moments, but of small, quiet sensations. A journey back in time, to a day that began like any other, but would end etched forever in history. Take a slow, deep breath, and let's begin. The morning of Wednesday, April 10th, 1912, does not arrive with a flash of historical importance. It seeps into your room as a soft, pearlescent grey light, the kind of quiet, unassuming dawn that has greeted the city of Southampton for centuries. You are stirring from a deep and dreamless sleep, not because of a jarring alarm, but because of a subtle shift in the world around you. The deep, rumbling silence of the pre-dawn hours is giving way to the first tentative sounds of a city waking. A distant cart, its wooden wheels complaining softly on the cobblestones, the lonely cry of a gull circling the port, the far-off mournful whistle of a steam engine letting off pressure. These are the sounds that gently pull you from the depths of sleep. The first thing you become aware of is the air in your room. It carries a distinct chill, a dampness that speaks of the nearby sea. It's a clean, sharp cold that makes you want to pull the covers tighter, to burrow deeper into the warm nest you've created for yourself. The sheets are soft linen, worn smooth with time, and the quilt on top is heavy, a reassuring presence. You stretch your legs, your feet, searching for the edge of this warmth, and when they find the open air, the cold is immediate. A stark reminder of the world outside your cocoon. You lie there for a few moments longer, suspended in that peaceful state between sleep and wakefulness, simply listening. The house around you has its own quiet language, the gentle creak of the floorboards in the hall as someone else in the house begins their day, the faint groan of the water pipes as a tap is turned on somewhere below. These are the familiar, comforting sounds of home, a steady rhythm against which the day will unfold. You decide it's time to move, to leave the sanctuary of your bed and meet the day, swinging your feet to the floor. The polished wood is smooth and cold beneath them. The sensation is sharp, waking you up more effectively than any coffee ever could. You stand, and for a moment, you just feel the solidness of the floor beneath you, the slight chill rising from it. You pad over to the window, your breath creating a small, fleeting cloud on the cool glass, wiping it away with the heel of your hand. You look out onto the street below. It is a world of soft greys and muted browns. The slate roofs across the way are slick with morning dew, glistening under the weak sun that is struggling to break through the clouds. A man in a flat cap is walking briskly, his breath a plume of white in front of him. A delivery boy on a heavy bicycle weaves his way down the street, a wicker basket laden with bread strapped to the front. It's a scene of perfect, beautiful mundanity. No one is rushing, no one is shouting. It is a city moving at a deliberate, unhurried pace. Turning from the window, you begin the ritual of dressing. The clothes laid out for you are not your usual attire. They feel different to the touch. The wool of the trousers is heavier, more substantial. The cotton of the shirt is starched and stiff, its collar crisp and unyielding. Each item feels formal, a quiet declaration that today is an occasion. You pull on your stockings, the fine wool a slightly scratchy but warm layer against your skin. You fasten the buttons of your shirt, your fingers moving slowly, deliberately. Each small action, the tying of a shoelace, the fastening of a cuff, significant, a step in a ceremony that has already begun. The clothes carry a faint, clean scent of lavender and soap, a comforting aroma from home that you will carry with you. Downstairs, the kitchen is the warmest room in the house. A small coal fire glows in the hearth, its gentle heat pushing back against the morning chill. The air is thick with the comforting smells of brewing tea and toasting bread. You sit at the heavy wooden table, its surface scarred with the marks of countless family meals. The teapot, a sturdy brown earth pot, radiates a wonderful warmth as you pour a cup. The tea is strong and dark, the hot liquid a welcome shock to your system. You hold the mug in both hands, letting its heat seep into your palms. A small, simple pleasure. Breakfast is simple. A slice of thick toast, slathered with butter that melts into golden pools on its surface, and a spoonful of sharp, sweet marmalade. The crunch of the toast sounds loud in the otherwise quiet room. You eat slowly, savoring each bite, not because you are particularly hungry, but because you know this is the last home-cooked meal you will have for some time. This is the taste of home, a flavor you are committing to memory. You are not just eating, you are grounding yourself, taking in a little piece of this familiar world before you step into the unknown. After breakfast, it is time. You pull on your coat, a heavy tweed that feels like a protective armor against the world. You check your pockets one last time for your ticket, your papers. The small, rectangular piece of cardstock feels immensely important in your hand, a key to a different world. A final look around the familiar hallway, a final goodbye, and you step out of the front door. The air outside is brisk. It smells of damp earth, coal smoke, and something else, the unmistakable, briny tang of the sea. The port is calling. You begin the walk to the docks, your footsteps echoing slightly on the damp pavement. The streets become more crowded the closer you get to the harbor. The sounds grow from a murmur to a roar, the rhythmic clang of a blacksmith's hammer, the high-pitched shriek of steam whistles, the cacophony of voices shouting in a dozen different accents. It is the sound of a city built on trade, on departure and arrival. You see men with strong shoulders and calloused hands, rolling barrels up wooden gangplanks. You see stacks of luggage, elegant leather trunks, and simple wicker suitcases, all piled together, waiting to be sorted and loaded. The sheer scale of the operation is staggering. It feels as though the entire city is moving, a river of humanity and cargo flowing towards the water's edge. And then, through a gap in a warehouse, you see it for the first time. It is difficult to process. Your mind struggles to accept what your eyes are seeing. It is not a ship. It is a floating wall, a mountain of black steel that rises higher than any building you have ever seen. The word big feels entirely inadequate. It is vast, immense, colossal. Its sheer, polished sides seem to stretch on forever, punctuated by rows upon rows of perfectly round portholes. 4 colossal funnels, painted a pale buff color, rise from its decks, so tall they seem to be touching the grey clouds above. The name is painted on its bow in proud, golden letters, TITANIC.U. Simply stand there for a moment, a statue in the midst of the swirling chaos, completely overwhelmed. A sense of profound smallness washes over you. You are just one tiny part of this enormous undertaking. A carriage clatters past, its horses snorting in the cool air, and the spell is broken. You are swept up again in the current of people, all moving in the same direction, all drawn by the gravitational pull of the giant that waits in the water. The boarding process is a blur of organized chaos. Stewards in crisp white uniforms guide passengers, their voices calm and reassuring. Your ticket is checked, your name ticked off a long list. You walk up the gangway, the wooden planks groaning slightly under the weight of so many feet. The incline is steep, and you hold onto the rope handrail, your knuckles white. With each step, you are leaving the solid ground of England behind, stepping into a new, self-contained world. The moment you step onto the deck, the world changes. The chaotic sounds of the dock are replaced by a more refined, quieter atmosphere. The air here smells different. It's a clean, sterile smell of fresh paint, new varnish, and polished brass. The deck beneath your feet is made of pristine, pale wood, so clean you feel you could eat off it. You can feel a faint, deep vibration through the soles of your shoes, gentle, rhythmic hum of the ship's mighty engines, resting but alive, like the slow breathing of a sleeping giant. A steward with a kind face and a neat mustache guides you towards your cabin. You follow him through a labyrinth of corridors. The walls are paneled in gleaming, richly colored wood that glows under the soft electric lights. These lights are a marvel in themselves. Small glass bulbs that burn with a steady, unwavering flame, casting a warm golden light everywhere. There are no flickering gas lamps here, no smoky candles, just clean, modern, electric light. Your feet sink into a plush, crimson carpet that muffles the sound of your footsteps. Adding to the sense of hushed reverence, you find the door to your cabin, a small brass number elegantly screwed into the wood. The steward hands you the key. It's metal, cool and solid in your palm. He opens the door for you, and you step inside. It is small, but it is a marvel of efficiency and elegance. A single bed, or bunk, is built into the wall, the mattress thick and inviting, a heavy woolen blanket neatly folded at its foot. There is a small, polished wooden desk and a single chair. A compact wardrobe stands in the corner, its door slightly ajar. But your eyes are drawn to the wash basin. It is a beautiful porcelain bowl set into a marble countertop, with gleaming brass taps for both hot and cold running water. The idea of hot water, available at any time with the simple turn of a handle, feels like the very pinnacle of luxury. Above it, a mirror reflects your own slightly stunned face, and next to the basin, a pitcher of fresh water and a clean glass, waiting for you. You walk over to the single, round porthole. It is like a perfect, brass-framed eye looking out at the world. You can see the bustling activity of the dock below, but it feels distant now, like you are observing it from a great height. You press your hand against the thick, cool glass, and you feel that deep, resonant hum of the engines more clearly. It is a constant, reassuring presence, the very heartbeat of this magnificent machine. After the steward leaves, you take a few moments to unpack your small bag, placing your few belongings in the wardrobe and on the desk. This small, anonymous space begins to feel like yours. You sit on the edge of the bed, the mattress firm and supportive. You are here. You are on board. The journey has truly begun. Curiosity gets the better of you, and you decide to explore. You lock your cabin, the click of the lock satisfyingly solid, and you venture back out into the corridors. You have no real sense of direction. You simply wander, letting the ship reveal itself to you. You find your way to one of the main staircases. You have to stop and catch your breath. It is a river of polished oak and intricate wrought iron, cascading down through the decks. At its top, a magnificent glass dome allows daylight to pour in, illuminating a large, ornate clock on the landing. The craftsmanship is breathtaking. Every surface gleams. The wood feels warm and alive under your hand as you run it along the banister. You watch people ascending and descending, their faces a mixture of awe, excitement, and quiet dignity. It feels less like a staircase and more like a work of art, the very heart of the ship. You make your way up to one of the upper decks, the promenade deck. You step out into the open air, and the wind hits you, fresh and strong. It whips at your hair and your coat, and you have to brace yourself against the railing. The view is spectacular. You can see the whole of Southampton Harbour spread out before you. The water a choppy, slate grey. The air is filled with the scent of salt and the cries of gulls that wheel and dive in the ship's wake. The deck is long and wide, a perfect place for a constitutional. You see other passengers already strolling, ladies with elegant hats pinned firmly in place, gentlemen in smart overcoats, their hands clasped behind their backs. There is a sense of calm and order. This is a floating palace, a perfectly regulated society with its own rules and rhythms. You find a sheltered spot out of the wind and just watch as the last of the cargo is loaded. The final preparations made. The sound of the ship's whistle blasts, a deep, powerful roar that seems to shake the very air around you. It's a sound of immense power and confidence. Then another, and a third. Slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, you feel a change in the vibration beneath your feet. The gentle hum deepens into a powerful thrum. You look down at the water and see it churning, a white foam appearing alongside the ship. The gap between the ship and the dock begins to widen. You are moving. A small crowd gathers at the railings to watch. There are waves, cheers, and the fluttering of handkerchiefs from the people left behind on the shore. You watch as the familiar landscape of the port begins to slide by. The warehouses, the cranes, the smaller boats, all of it slowly receding. You feel a strange mix of emotions, a pang of sadness for the home you are leaving behind, and a surge of pure, unadulterated excitement for the journey that lies ahead. You stay on deck for a long time, watching as England itself becomes a faint, misty line on the horizon, until finally, it is swallowed by the sea, and there is nothing in any direction but the vast, endless expanse of the ocean. As the afternoon wears on, a routine begins to establish itself. You find your way to the dining saloon for the evening meal. It is another space of breathtaking beauty. The room is vast and bright, with white-paneled walls and hundreds of small tables, each one draped in crisp white linen and set with gleaming silverware. The low murmur of conversation and the gentle clinking of cutlery create a soft, pleasant soundtrack. The stewards move with a quiet, balletic grace, taking orders, delivering plates, refilling water glasses. You are served a simple but delicious meal. A hot, savory soup that warms you from the inside out. A tender piece of roasted meat with potatoes and vegetables. And for dessert, a sweet, creamy pudding. The food is comforting, a small anchor of normalcy in this new and extraordinary world. After dinner, you return to the deck. The sun has set, and the sky has faded from orange and pink to a deep, velvety indigo. The air is much colder now, the wind carrying a sharp, icy bite. The ship is a universe of light in the immense darkness. Every porthole is a glowing golden eye, and the strings of lights along the decks cast long, dancing reflections on the black, swirling water. The only sound is the rush of the wind and the steady, powerful rhythm of the engines, a constant reminder of the immense power driving you forward, slicing through the waves. The sheer emptiness of the ocean is humbling. There are no other lights, no other signs of life, just this one magnificent vessel, a self-contained world of warmth and light, forging its path through the cold, dark water. The stars are beginning to appear, brighter and clearer than you have ever seen them on land, a canopy of glittering diamonds scattered across the blackness. Feeling the cold finally seeping into your bones, you decide it is time to retire. You navigate your way back through the warm, well-lit corridors to your cabin. It feels good to be back in your own small, private space. It already feels familiar, a safe haven. You undress slowly, the warmth of the ship a welcome contrast to the cold outside. You climb into the bunk. The sheets are cool and crisp against your skin, and the woolen blanket is heavy and comforting. You switch off the small electric lamp by your bed, plunging the room into darkness, save for the faint starlight filtering through the porthole. The ship rocks gently, a slow, steady, side-to-side motion that is incredibly soothing. It's a rhythm that seems to match your own breathing, a gentle, oceanic lullaby. The deep, constant thrum of the engines is still there, a low, resonant hum that vibrates through the very structure of the ship. It is not a noise, it is a presence. It is the sound of power, of progress, of safety. It is the sound of the unsinkable ship, confidently making its way across the vast, dark Atlantic. You close your eyes, feeling utterly safe, utterly secure, held in the heart of the greatest ship in the world. And as you drift into a deep, peaceful sleep, you have no reason to believe that tomorrow will be anything other than perfect. You are adrift in the deep, quiet ocean of sleep. The steady, rhythmic hum of the great ship's engines has woven itself into the fabric of your dreams. It is a constant, a given, the reliable heartbeat of this magnificent steel world. It is the sound of safety, a deep, resonant lullaby that has cradled you into a profound sense of peace. You are warm, you are comfortable, you are secure, moving through the vast, dark emptiness of the Atlantic, held safely in the belly of the unsinkable ship. There is no reason to wake. There is no cause for concern. There is only the gentle rocking and the deep, endless hum. Until it's gone, you are not jolted awake by a crash. You are not thrown from your bunk by a violent impact. The transition from sleep is far more subtle, more insidious than that. It begins with a feeling, a low, grinding shudder that seems to come from the very bones of the ship. It is not a loud noise. It is a deep, resonant vibration that you feel in your teeth, in your chest. It is a long, drawn-out groan, as if the giant itself has been wounded, a sound of immense pressure and resistance that lasts for only a few seconds, and then fades, and in its place, silence. The silence is what truly wakes you. The constant, comforting thrum of the engines, the sound that has been your companion for days. The very pulse of the ship has vanished. Its absence leaves a void, a deep, profound emptiness that feels utterly wrong. The quiet that descends is not peaceful. It is heavy, unnatural, a held breath in the heart of the machine. The gentle, rhythmic rocking that has been lulling you has also ceased. The ship is unnervingly still, as if it has frozen in the water. You lie there in the darkness of your cabin, your eyes wide open, your ears straining against the silence. You tell yourself it's nothing. Perhaps they are simply adjusting something in the engine room. Perhaps this is normal on a ship of this size. You try to rationalize it, to push down the small, cold flicker of unease that has ignited in your stomach. But the silence persists. It stretches on, thick and unnerving. And then you notice the cold. It's a different cold than before. It's not the crisp, clean chill of the sea air on the deck. This is a deep, penetrating cold, a damp, glacial chill that seems to be seeping through the very steel walls of your cabin. It feels as though a door to a vast frozen cavern has been opened somewhere deep within the ship. The warmth that had filled your small room just a short while ago is being methodically erased. You can't lie still any longer. The quiet and the cold are a combination too unsettling to ignore. You swing your legs out of the bunk, and your bare feet meet the floor, and you feel it immediately. The floor is wrong. It is no longer the perfectly level surface you stood on when you went to sleep. There is a slant to it, a slight, almost imperceptible tilt, but it is there. It's not enough to make you lose your balance, but it's enough for your inner ear, your entire body, to register that the ship's perfect, majestic equilibrium has been broken. The ship is leaning, just slightly, like a person beginning to stumble. Now, a new set of sounds begins to filter through your door, breaking the profound silence. They are not sounds of panic, not yet. They are sounds of confusion. The murmur of voices in the corridor, hushed and questioning. The sound of a door opening nearby, a voice asking, "Did you feel that?" The hurried, purposeful footsteps of a steward, his shoes squeaking softly on the linoleum floor. The sounds are muted, but they are enough to confirm that you are not the only one who is awake, not the only one who feels that something is fundamentally wrong. Your own denial is beginning to crumble. You have to see for yourself what is happening. You begin to dress, your fingers fumbling with buttons in the cold, dim light. Your hands are shaking slightly, and you chide yourself for it. You pull on your trousers, your shirt, your warmest socks. Every layer of clothing feels like a thin, inadequate shield against the encroaching cold and the growing sense of dread. You grab your thickest coat, the one you wore on the deck earlier. The simple, familiar act of dressing is a small comfort, a piece of normalcy in a world that is rapidly losing its shape. You open your cabin door and step into the corridor. It is no longer empty. A handful of other passengers are standing outside their rooms, speaking in low, anxious tones. They are in various states of dress. A man in a fine silk dressing gown over his pajamas, a woman with her hair in sleeping curlers, her face pale with worry. They all have the same look in their eyes, a mixture of fear and disbelief. "Why have we stopped?" one of them asks you, as if you might have the answer. You can only shake your head. The tilt of the floor is more noticeable out here. You find yourself unconsciously bracing your hand against the wall as you walk. The ship feels heavy, sluggish, its former life and energy completely gone. You decide you must get to the deck, to see the ocean, to understand what is happening. You begin to make your way through the winding corridors, moving against a slow but steady stream of people heading in the same direction. The murmurs of confusion are growing louder, tinged with the first sharp notes of fear. As you ascend the grand staircase, its gilded clock shows that it is well past midnight. The magnificent space, usually so full of dignity and grace, now feels tense, its beauty a strange and mocking backdrop to the unfolding drama. People are clinging to the banisters, their knuckles white. Their voices echo in the vast space, creating a nervous, humming energy. A steward tries to reassure everyone. "There is no cause for alarm," he says, his voice strained. "We've just had a minor issue. Please return to your rooms." But no one is listening. No one is turning back. The collective instinct is pulling everyone upwards, towards the open air. You finally push through a heavy door and step out onto the boat deck. The change in atmosphere is instantaneous and shocking. The air is breathtakingly, painfully cold. It is a solid wall of cold that stings your exposed skin and makes your lungs ache with every breath. It feels colder than any winter night you have ever experienced. And the sight before you is so strange, so surreal, that for a moment, you think you must still be dreaming. The deck, usually so pristine and empty at this hour, is littered with ice. Not just a dusting of frost, but chunks of it, some small, some as large as suitcases. They are scattered across the immaculate wooden planks like strange, white debris, and as you walk towards the railing, your shoes crunching on the frozen shards, you see the source. Floating past the starboard side of the ship are mountains of ice, not icebergs in the distant, picturesque sense. These are colossal, ghostly white shapes, their peaks and valleys glowing faintly in the starlight. They are incredibly close, drifting by in a slow, silent, and menacing procession. The ship must have grazed one of them. The grinding shudder you felt was the sound of 1,000 tons of ice slicing into 1,000 tons of steel. The dread in your stomach solidifies into a cold, hard knot of terror. This is not a minor issue. You look around at the other faces on the deck, and you see your own fear reflected in their wide, disbelieving eyes. The ship is now listing more obviously. Walking is becoming a conscious effort, your body instinctively leaning against the upward slope to maintain balance. The deck, once a perfectly flat promenade, is now an unnerving hill. And then, you see the crew. They are moving with a quiet, frantic efficiency that is far more terrifying than any shouting would be. They are pulling the thick canvas covers off the lifeboats. The lifeboats. The word itself is a thunderclap in your mind. They are swinging the heavy, white wooden boats out on their davits, the mechanisms groaning in protest in the cold night air. The sight of those boats, suspended over the black, churning water below, is a stark and undeniable admission of failure. The unsinkable ship is being abandoned. The sense of order begins to break down. The quiet, anxious crowd is becoming a throng of truly frightened people. A child begins to cry, a high, piercing wail that cuts through the night. An officer with a megaphone is trying to be heard over the growing noise. His voice is strained, cracking with the effort. "Please remain calm," he shouts. "We need women and children to make their way to the lifeboats. Women and children first." The phrase echoes across the deck, a death sentence for so many. You see families clinging to each other, husbands kissing their wives goodbye, fathers hugging their children with a desperate, heartbreaking finality. There is no time for long farewells. The crew is herding people, pushing them, separating them. It is a scene of quiet, heartbreaking chaos. You are pushed along with the crowd towards one of the lifeboats. The sheer drop to the ocean below looks like a fall from a cliff. The black water churns and froths impossibly far down. The lifeboat itself looks so small, so fragile against the immense, dark side of the Titanic. It sways and bumps against the hull as people scramble into it, their movements clumsy with fear and cold. Someone grabs your arm and pulls you forward, and before you know it, you are stepping over the side, your foot landing on the hard wooden bench of the boat. You squeeze in among strangers, their bodies pressed tightly against yours. The collective shivering is a palpable tremor that runs through the entire boat. And then, with a terrible, groaning screech of ropes and pulleys, you begin to descend. The boat jerks and sways on its way down, and you grip the sides, your knuckles aching, your eyes fixed on the great wounded ship you are leaving behind. From this new perspective, on the water, the full horror of the situation is laid bare. The Titanic is a spectacle of dying light. It is no longer a proud, majestic vessel. It is a wounded beast, sinking into the abyss. Its bow is already submerged, the water creeping steadily up its decks. The long, elegant rows of its golden portholes are being extinguished, one by one as they slip beneath the waves. The ship's stern is rising out of the water at an impossible angle. It lifts higher and higher, a final, desperate plea to the cold, indifferent stars. The sounds coming from the ship are a symphony of destruction. The deep, resonant groan of bending steel, the explosive crash of furniture and machinery breaking loose inside, and above it all, the sound of 1,000 human voices joined in a single collective scream of terror and despair. It is a sound that will be burned into your memory for the rest of your life. Your lifeboat hits the water with a hard, jarring splash. The icy spray is a shock, drenching you in water that feels as cold as death itself. The men in the boat are rowing, their movements frantic, desperate to get away from the suction of the dying Leviathan. You can only watch, mesmerized in horror. As the great ship prepares for its final plunge, the lights flicker one last time, and then go out, plunging the ship into darkness. And then comes the final sound, a roar so loud it feels as though the world is tearing itself apart. The great stern, now pointing almost straight up to the sky, hangs there for a moment against the stars, and then begins its swift final descent into the ocean. It goes down with a deafening, thunderous noise, a sound that is part of the sea itself. And then it is gone, and in its place, a silence more profound and more terrible than any you have ever known. The silence is punctuated by the sounds that will haunt your dreams forever. The cries of the hundreds of people left behind, struggling in the freezing water, their voices calling for help, for mothers, for loved ones, until they, too, fade away. You are now in a small wooden boat, a tiny speck in the middle of a vast, black, and impossibly cold ocean. You are a survivor, but you do not feel lucky. You feel hollowed out, empty. The cold is no longer just a sensation. It is an entity. It is a physical pain, a relentless monster that is methodically seeping into your very core, stealing the life from your limbs. Your fingers, gripping the rough wood of the boat, are numb. Your feet are blocks of ice. Every breath is a struggle, a cloud of white vapor that you can see, even in the deep darkness. Time loses all meaning. There is only the cold, the darkness, and the gentle, mocking slap of water against the side of the boat. You huddle together with the other survivors, sharing what little body heat remains, but it is a losing battle. Hope begins to feel like a distant, foolish luxury. You look up at the sky, at the billions of cold, indifferent stars, and you resign yourself to your fate. You wait for the morning. You wait for the end. You simply wait. And then, through the haze of cold and exhaustion, you hear it. It is a sound so unexpected, so impossible, that you think your mind is playing tricks on you. A boom, a distant, muffled explosion. It is a rocket, a sign of help. Hope, fierce and painful, surges through you. You try to shout, but your throat is raw, your voice a choked whisper. You scan the horizon, your eyes straining against the darkness, and you see it. A light, a single, tiny pinprick of warm yellow. Light on the edge of the world. It is impossibly far away, but it is there, and it is getting closer. A wave of energy passes through the lifeboat. People begin to stir, to murmur, to point. The light grows brighter, steadier. It is another ship. The wait that follows is an agony of anticipation. It seems to take an eternity for the ship to reach you. But finally, it is there, looming over you, a dark shape full of light and life. Ropes are thrown down. You can hear voices calling, kind, strong voices. Getting out of the lifeboat and onto the rescue ship is a clumsy, painful affair. Your limbs are numb and unresponsive. You are pulled and hauled up a rope ladder, your body feeling like a dead weight. Strong hands grab you, dragging you over the railing and onto a solid, steady deck. You collapse, shaking uncontrollably. The solid wood beneath you, the most wonderful feeling in the world. Blankets are wrapped around you. Someone presses a mug of hot, steaming liquid into your hands, and you gulp it down. The scalding heat, a blissful pain in your frozen throat. The feeling is, slowly, agonizingly, returning to your fingers and toes. A pins and needles fire that is both torture and a confirmation of life. As the pale grey light of dawn breaks across the horizon, the full scale of the tragedy is revealed. The vast, empty ocean, the handful of other lifeboats bobbing on the waves, and the chilling absence of the magnificent ship that now lies 2.5 miles below. A silent, ghostly tomb. You are alive. The thought is a staggering, overwhelming miracle. A wave of pure, primal joy washes over youth, a simple, beautiful joy of breathing, of feeling the warmth of a blanket, of seeing the sunrise, but it is immediately followed by a wave of crushing, bottomless sorrow. A grief for the more than 1,500 souls who did not see this sunrise, for the families torn apart, for the lives cut short, for the great ship and its broken promise. You are a survivor, but you will forever carry the ghosts of the Titanic within you, a silent, indelible passenger in the long journey of your life. You have made it through the night, but the darkness will never truly leave you. Let your body settle once more. Feel the familiar comfort of your own bed, the gentle pressure of your own blankets. Allow the sounds of your world to fade into a soft, indistinct murmur. We are returning to the great ship, but our journey tonight will be different. We are not in the quiet, carpeted corridors of the upper decks. We are deeper within the heart of the vessel, where the steel plates are closer, the engines are louder, and the dreams of a new life are the most precious cargo of all. Take a slow, deep breath, and let us begin again. Your awakening is not gentle. It is not a slow stirring in a private, silent room. You are pulled from the depths of a heavy, exhausted sleep by a sound. The sound of a man coughing, a harsh, racking cough that echoes in the enclosed space. It is followed by the whimper of a baby, a small, fretful cry that is quickly shushed by its mother. You are not alone. You are one of many, a single soul in a sea of sleeping, stirring humanity. You open your eyes, not to soft, filtered light, but to a dim, perpetual twilight. You are in a bunk, one of dozens that are stacked 3 high in a long, narrow dormitory. The ceiling is low, crisscrossed with thick pipes that sweat with condensation. A single, caged electric bulb casting a weak, yellowy glow over the scene. The air is thick, heavy, and warm. It is a complex tapestry of smells. The scent of damp wool, of unwashed bodies, of stale bread, of cheap lye-based soap, and underneath it all, the faint, metallic temps of the ship itself. The bunk is narrow, your shoulders nearly touching the cold, painted steel of the hull on one side and the rough wooden edge on the other. The mattress beneath you is thin, stuffed with straw that rustles and pokes at you every time you move. Your blanket is a single sheet of coarse, scratchy wool, providing warmth but no comfort. You can feel the deep, resonant vibration of the engines more keenly here, not as a gentle hum, but as a powerful, visceral tremor that runs through the very structure of your bunk and into your bones. It is a constant, physical reminder of the immense power propelling you across the ocean. Can hear the symphony of the dormitory around you, the soft snores and loud wheezes of sleeping men, the quiet, hushed murmur of women speaking in languages you don't understand, Swedish, Irish, Gaelic, Italian, their voices like a gentle stream. The creak of wood and metal as someone in a bunk above or below you shifts in their sleep. This is not the sound of solitude, it is the sound of shared existence, of lives packed together in close, unavoidable intimacy. There is no sense in trying to fall back asleep. The dormitory is beginning to stir, the collective consciousness slowly rising to meet the day. You decide to get up, to start your own day before the room becomes a chaos of movement. You swing your legs over the side of the bunk, your feet finding the cold, hard floor. You have to move carefully, ducking your head to avoid hitting the bunk above you. Dressing is a practiced art of constrained movement. There is no wardrobe, only a few hooks on the wall where your clothes hang. You pull on your simple, well-worn trousers and a thick woolen shirt. The fabric is familiar, smelling faintly of the home you left behind, a scent that is both comforting and achingly sad. These are not clothes for promenading. They are clothes for working, for traveling, for starting over. You sit on the edge of your bunk to pull on your thick socks and heavy, scuffed leather boots. Tying the laces, your fingers move with practiced familiarity. Each item you put on is a piece of your old life, your only tangible connection to the person you were before you stepped onto this ship. With your boots on, you feel more prepared to face the day. You need to wash, a ritual that requires patience and timing. You make your way to the communal washroom at the end of the dormitory. The floor here is wet and slippery. There is a long, shallow trough with a row of faucets above it, providing a trickle of cold, briny water. There is already a line of men, their faces tired in the dim light, sleeves rolled up, waiting their turn. The air in the washroom is thick with the smell of dampness and strong soap. You wait your turn, leaning against a cool steel wall. There is no privacy here. The conversations are blunt and practical. You finally reach one of the faucets and cup your hands under the cold stream. The water is a shock, sharp and bracing. It makes your skin tingle and your teeth ache. You splash your face, the salt water stinging your eyes, and run wet fingers through your hair. The soap is a hard yellow bar, shared by everyone. It has a harsh chemical smell, but does its job, leaving your skin feeling tight and scrubbed. It is a brief, functional, and deeply public ritual. There is no luxury here, only the basic necessity of cleanliness. Feeling more awake, you know you need to get some food. The steerage dining saloon is several decks away, a journey through a maze of narrow, utilitarian corridors. The walls here are not paneled in polished wood. They are painted a stark, functional white. The rivets of the ship's hull clearly visible. The lighting is dimmer, the air colder. You pass other families emerging from their dormitories, children clutching their parents' hands. Their faces a mixture of sleepiness and excitement. The ship is a city, and this is its most populous, most hopeful, and most overlooked neighborhood. The dining saloon is not a place of elegance. It is a long, brightly lit room filled with rows of simple wooden tables and long benches. There are no white tablecloths or delicate floral arrangements. The noise hits you as you enter. The loud clatter of thick ceramic plates and metal cutlery, the boisterous chatter of hundreds of people, the echoing cries of children. It is a lively, chaotic, and vibrant space. You find a spot at one of the long tables, squeezing in between a large Irish family and a group of young Scandinavian men. You are given a thick, heavy bowl and a spoon. Stewards in simple white jackets move through the room with large pots, ladling out breakfast. There is no menu to choose from. You get what is offered. This morning, it is a thick, hot porridge or oatmeal. It is bland but filling, a warm weight in your stomach that pushes back against the persistent chill of the ship. You are also given a piece of dark, dense bread and a mug of hot, weak tea, heavily sweetened with sugar. You eat quickly, hunched over your bowl. Conversation is difficult over the noise. but you exchange nods and small smiles with your neighbors. There is an unspoken camaraderie here. You are all in the same boat, both literally and figuratively. You are all immigrants, all travelers, all bound for a new world with nothing but the clothes on your backs and the hopes in your hearts. You see the dreams of America reflected in the faces around you, the tired but determined eyes of the fathers, the anxious but resilient gazes of the mothers, the bright, curious faces of the children. After the meal, there is the question of how to spend the long hours of the day. Your access to the ship is severely restricted. You are a third-class passenger, and there are invisible walls everywhere. You cannot simply wander up to the grand staircase or the promenade decks of the wealthy. To even try would be to be met by a firm but polite steward and redirected back to your designated areas. Your world is comprised of three main spaces: your dormitory, the dining saloon, and the general room. The general room is the social heart of steerage. It is a large, open space, similar to the dining saloon, but filled with benches and a few scattered tables. It is here that people come to escape the cramped confines of their sleeping quarters. The room is always full, a constant hub of activity. You spend the morning there, watching the life of steerage unfold. In one corner, a group of men are engrossed in a game of cards, their faces intense, slapping the cards down on the table with gusto. In another, a young mother is gently rocking her baby, humming a lullaby from a land you've never seen. Children chase each other, their laughter echoing off the steel walls, their energy a bright spark in the dim, enclosed space. You see people trying to maintain the routines of their old lives. Women sit together, their hands busy with knitting or mending, their needles clicking in a soft, rhythmic chorus. Men gather in small groups, smoking pipes, the sweet, pungent smell of tobacco filling the air, discussing their plans for when they reach New York. They talk of jobs in factories, of buying a small plot of land, of finding relatives who have gone before them. Their voices are a mixture of bravado and quiet, underlying fear. The only other place you are allowed is your small, designated section of open deck. It is located at the stern of the ship, what the sailors call the poop deck, or at the well deck near the bow. Getting there requires climbing a steep, narrow, metal staircase. As you emerge into the daylight, the feeling of release is immense. The sky above is a vast, open bowl of grey and blue. The wind is strong and cold, whipping at your clothes and bringing tears to your eyes. It feels clean and fresh after the thick, recycled air below decks. Your deck space is not a wide, elegant promenade. It is a functional, open area, surrounded by a high steel railing. It is crowded with other steerage passengers, all seeking the same sense of freedom. You find a spot by the railing and look out. The view is mesmerizing. The wake of the ship is a wide, churning road of white foam, stretching back as far as the eye can see. The ocean is an endless, rolling expanse of deep, dark water, its surface constantly shifting, its power immense and humbling. From here, you can see the other parts of the ship, the parts you are not allowed to enter. You can see the long, sheltered promenade decks of first and second class. See the wealthy passengers strolling leisurely, wrapped in thick furs and fine coats. They look like figures from another world, distant and untouchable. You feel a pang of something not quite envy, but a sharp awareness of the immense gulf that separates their experience from yours. They are on a floating palace. You are in a floating barracks. Yet you are all on the same ship, carried by the same engines, subject to the same ocean. You spend a long time on the deck, leaning against the rail, feeling the cold spray on your face. The sheer scale of the ocean is both terrifying and exhilarating. It makes your own worries, your own small hopes and fears, feel insignificant. You are a tiny speck of life in an immense, indifferent wilderness. The only thing that matters is the ship beneath your feet, this great, powerful machine that is carrying you towards your future. As midday approaches, you head back down for the noon meal. It is another simple, hearty affair, a thick stew with chunks of meat and vegetables, more bread and water. The routine is already becoming familiar. The noise, the crowds, the simple food. You are adapting, finding your rhythm in this strange new world. The afternoon is spent much like the morning. You find a quieter corner of the general room and simply sit, listening to the sounds around you. A man has brought out a fiddle and he begins to play. He plays old tunes from his homeland, songs that are full of longing and sorrow, of love and loss. A small crowd gathers around him, their faces wistful. Soon someone else joins in with a small accordion. The music swells, filling the room. It is sad and joyful all at once. Someone begins to clap. Then someone else. A young couple gets up and begins to dance, their heavy boots stamping a rhythm on the floor. For a few moments, the general room is transformed. It is no longer a sterile, functional space on a ship. It is a village hall, a pub, a family kitchen. It is a place of community, of shared culture. In this music, in this dance, these disparate people from a dozen different nations become one. They are sharing something, a resilience, a refusal to be beaten down by hardship. They are celebrating life, even in these cramped and difficult circumstances. It is a moment of pure, unadulterated humanity, and it is beautiful. As evening begins to fall, the atmosphere in the room changes. The music fades. The card games break up. A sense of weariness descends. The long day of waiting, of doing nothing, has taken its toll. People begin to drift back towards their dormitories, ready for sleep. Dinner is the last communal gathering of the day. Afterwards, you feel the pull of your own bunk. You are tired, not from physical exertion, but from the constant presence of other people, the constant noise, the mental and emotional effort of this journey. You return to your dormitory. The air is even thicker now than it was in the morning. The weak light seems dimmer. You navigate your way through the narrow aisle to your bunk. You don't bother to undress completely. It is too cold, and there is no privacy. You simply take off your boots and your coat and climb under the scratchy wool blanket. Lying there in the darkness, you listen once more to the sounds of the dormitory settling down for the night. The final hushed conversations, the rustling of straw mattresses, the soft crying of a tired child. You can feel the steady, powerful thrum of the engines beneath you, a constant, reassuring vibration. It is the sound of progress, the sound of miles being eaten away, of New York getting closer with every passing hour. You close your eyes. You are not surrounded by luxury. You are not cocooned in comfort and silence, but you are on your way. You have gambled everything on this journey, on the promise of a new beginning. Lying here, in this crowded, noisy, and hopeful room, deep in the belly of the greatest ship in the world, you feel a sense of profound and fragile determination. You are tired, you are poor, you are anonymous, but you are moving towards the future. And as you finally drift into an exhausted sleep, your dreams are not of the past you have left behind, but of the life that is waiting for you, just beyond the vast, dark horizon. Come back, one last time, to the world of steel and steam. Let the familiar comfort of your bed ground you in the present moment. Feel the cool air of your own room, the gentle stillness of your own home. We are about to descend. We are leaving. Behind the decks and the dining rooms, the starlight and the sea breezes, we are going down, deep into the belly of the ship, to the place where the power is born, where the fire breathes, and where men labor in the dark to feed the great machine. Let your body relax, let your mind become quiet, and let us begin our final journey. You are not woken by the gentle light of morning, nor by the quiet murmur of a waking dormitory. You are torn from a heavy, restless sleep by a sharp metallic clang, the sound of a bell being struck in the narrow corridor outside your cabin. It is not an alarm of emergency. It is the mundane, insistent call to work. It is 4 o'clock. In the morning, the middle of the Atlantic night. Your watch is about to begin. You swing your legs out of your narrow cot, the iron frame groaning in protest. The room is small, shared with 3 other men who are also stirring in the darkness. There is no porthole this deep in the ship. The only light comes from a single, bare electric bulb, its wire encased in a small metal cage on the ceiling. The air is thick, hot, and smells of sweat, stale cigarette smoke, and the ever-present, pervasive scent of warm machine oil. The roar of the ship is not a distant hum here. It is a living entity, a constant, deafening, all-encompassing thunder that vibrates through the floor, the walls, the very air you breathe. It is the sound of the ship's lungs and heart, and you are about to go feed them. There is no ceremony in getting dressed. You pull on a pair of heavy-duty trousers, worn thin in places, and a sleeveless undershirt, a flimsy piece of cotton that is already damp with the cabin's humidity. Your skin is permanently grimy, a fine layer of coal dust ingrained in every pore, a tattoo of your trade that never fully washes away. You don't wear heavy boots. Most of the men on your watch prefer simple, flat-soled shoes that are easier to move in on the hot iron plates of the boiler rooms. you and the other men from your watch file out of the cabin and into the narrow, steel-walled corridor. This is a part of the ship no passenger will ever see. It is a world of exposed pipes, electrical conduits, and stark, functional design. There are no polished wood panels or plush carpets here. There is only painted steel, iron, and the constant, deafening noise. Your journey is not upwards towards the sky, but downwards, into the very gut of the vessel. You follow the others to a steep, narrow iron staircase, little more than a ladder, that descends into the depths. You grab the cold, greasy handrails and begin your descent. The air changes with every level you go down. The heat intensifies, rolling up from below in thick, palpable waves. The roar of the machinery grows louder, until conversation becomes impossible, reduced to shouts and hand signals. The smell of oil and hot metal becomes stronger, joined by a new acrid scent, the smell of burning coal and fine, gritty dust that coats the back of your throat. You descend past the massive churning engines, catching glimpses of the giant pistons and connecting rods moving with relentless rhythmic power. You go deeper still, into the territory of the boilers. The ship has 29 of them, housed in 6 separate boiler rooms. Your destination tonight is boiler room number 6, one of the largest, located deep within the ship's belly. As you reach the final level, you stand before a heavy, watertight door. A fellow worker, his face already black with soot, pulls the heavy lever, and the door swings open. You are met with a blast of heat, so intense it is like stepping into the mouth of a dragon. It is a dry, searing heat that sucks the moisture from your skin and makes the air shimmer, and the noise is now a physical assault, a continuous, deafening roar of fire and steam and metal that seems to shake your very skeleton. You step through the doorway and onto the stokehold floor. You have entered one of the fiery hells that powers this floating paradise. The room is vast, cavernous, and terrifying in its scale. On either side of a central aisle, 3 colossal, cylindrical boilers rise up into the darkness, their steel faces dotted with fire doors. Each boiler is as large as a small house. In front of them, the iron floor plates are piled high with glistening black mountains of coal, delivered from the bunkers that line the sides of the ship. The air is a thick, choking haze of coal dust, which swirls and dances in the incandescent glare from the furnace mouths. The light in the room is hellish. It comes from the open fire doors, a blinding white-hot glare that casts long, flickering shadows and illuminates the scene in flashes of brilliant, terrible light. The men of the previous watch are moving like demons in this fiery landscape. They are all stripped to the waist, their bodies lean and wiry, gleaming with a mixture of sweat and coal dust that turns their skin a polished black. You can see the play of every muscle in their backs and shoulders as they work. There is no time for adjustment. Your watch has begun. You are part of a team, a black gang, as you are called, and your job for the next 4 hours is simple and brutal. You must keep the fires fed. You must maintain the pressure of the steam that is the lifeblood of the ship. You pick up your tools from the rack. They are heavy, primitive instruments. A large, square-mouthed shovel, its wooden handle worn smooth with use. A slice bar, a long, heavy piece of iron used for breaking up the fire. A rake for spreading the coals. These are your partners for the next 4 hours. Your section is one of the boilers on the port side. You take your position in front of it, facing the 3 fire doors set into its face. The heat radiating from the steel is immense, a constant, oppressive wave. You work in a 3-man team for each boiler. 1 man to shovel the coal, 1 to work the fires, 1 to fetch and carry. You will rotate through these tasks. Your first job is to shovel. You plant your feet on the iron plates, feeling their heat through the thin soles of your shoes. You drive your shovel into the pile of coal beside you. The sound is a harsh, grating scrape of metal on metal, a sound that will be the rhythm of your shift. The shovel comes up heavy, laden with glistening black coal. You swing it, a practiced economical movement that uses the momentum of your body, and with a flick of your wrists, you send the coal flying through the open furnace door. The inside of the furnace is a miniature sun, a roaring, blinding inferno of white and yellow flame. The blast of heat that erupts from the open door is searing, scorching your eyebrows, drying the sweat on your face the instant it appears. You don't just throw the coal in, you have to place it, spreading it evenly over the burning bed to ensure a consistent, hot fire. It is a skill, a craft learned through endless, grueling repetition. You fall into the rhythm of the work, scrape, lift, Swing, flick, scrape, lift, swing, flick. Your world shrinks to the pile of coal, the heavy shovel, and the fiery, hungry mouth of the furnace. Your muscles begin to burn, your shoulders ache, the sweat streams down your body, carving clean paths through the layers of soot and grime. The air you breathe is thick with dust that clogs your lungs and makes your throat roar. There is a water bucket nearby, and you take occasional sips of lukewarm, metallic-tasting water, but it does little to quench the deep, burning thirst that consumes you. After what feels like an eternity, but is perhaps only 20 minutes, you switch tasks. Now you take the slice bar. Your new job is to tend the fire you have just been feeding. You use a lever to crack open the heavy iron fire door. Using the long, heavy bar, you reach into the inferno. Your job is to break up the clinker's large, fused chunks of impurities that form in the fire and block the airflow. It is heavy, awkward work. The bar glows red-hot almost instantly. You have to push and pry, using all your strength and body weight to break the clinkers apart, all while enduring the ferocious heat blasting your face and chest. Once the fire is broken up, you take the rake, another long iron tool, and spread the burning coals evenly across the grate. A perfect fire is a science. Too thin, and it won't generate enough heat. Too thick, and it won't get enough air to burn efficiently. The foreman, a tough, experienced man with a voice that can cut through the roar of the furnaces, watches you constantly. He checks the steam pressure gauges on the boiler's face, shouting instructions, demanding more heat, more pressure, more speed. The ship has a relentless appetite, and it is your job to satisfy it. The 4 hours of your watch stretch into an eternity. There are no breaks, there is no respite, there is only the work. Your body screams in protest. Your lungs burn, your muscles ache with a deep, liquid fire. Your hands are raw and blistered from the shovel handle. The sweat on your body is no longer cooling. It is just a constant, slick layer of grime. The noise is a physical weight, pressing in on you, making your head throb. You lose all sense of time, all sense of the world outside this fiery, roaring cavern. There is no day or night, only the artificial, hellish light of the furnaces. You are disconnected from the world of the passengers far above. You cannot imagine their lives of quiet luxury, of fine food and soft beds. Their world is powered by this one, by the sweat and toil and pain of men like you. You are the hidden heart of the machine, the unseen engine of their comfort. There is a strange, grim camaraderie in this hell. You work together with the other men, a silent, efficient team. You communicate with nods, with gestures, with a shared understanding born of mutual hardship. You might share a grim joke, a curse, add a stubborn clinker, a nod of encouragement when you see another man flagging. You are all bound together by the fire, by the noise, by the shared, brutal reality of your existence. You are the black gang, and you look out for each other, because no one else will. Just when you feel you cannot lift the shovel one more time, that your body will simply give out, the clang of the bell rings through the boiler room. Your watch is over. The relief is so profound it is almost a physical blow. The next watch is already filing in, their faces grimly determined, ready to take your place. There is no formal handover. You simply drop your tools, the heavy iron clanging on the floor plates. You turn your back on the furnaces, on the heat and the noise, and you begin the slow, painful journey back to the world above. To climb up the iron ladders is an act of sheer will. Your limbs are heavy, unresponsive. Every step is an effort, but with each level you ascend, you feel the world changing. The heat begins to recede. The noise lessens, the roar fading back into a powerful hum. The air becomes cooler, cleaner. You can breathe again without tasting coal dust. It feels like you are ascending from the underworld. Returning to the land of the living, you finally reach your own deck, staggering back into the crew corridors. You are utterly, profoundly exhausted. Your body is a symphony of aches and pains. You are coated head to foot in a thick layer of black grime, your face a mask of sweat and soot, only your eyes and teeth showing white. The first stop is the washroom. The cold, salty water has never felt so good. You strip off your filthy clothes and stand under the faucet, letting the water sluice over you, washing away the layers of grime. The water runs black from your body. It takes long, hard scrubbing with the harsh soap to feel even remotely clean, and you know that the fine dust in your pores will never truly be gone. Then, to the crew mess hall for food. You are ravenously hungry. The meal is simple but plentiful. Thick slices of bread, a hearty portion of salted meat, potatoes, and strong, hot tea you eat mechanically, your body crying out for fuel, for calories to replace the thousands you have just burned. The conversation around you is muted. The men are too tired for idle chatter. They eat, they smoke a final cigarette, and then they drift away. Your final destination is your cot. You stumble back to your small shared cabin and collapse onto the thin mattress. It feels like the softest bed in the world. You don't even bother to pull the blanket over you. The residual heat in your body is enough to keep you warm. The roar of the ship is still there, a constant presence, but it sounds different now. It is no longer a threat, no longer the sound of your workplace. It is just a sound, a deep, rhythmic vibration that gently rocks your exhausted body. You have fed the beast for another 4 hours. You have helped to propel this great city through the water. You have done your job. Your body is in pain. Your lungs are full of dust, but your mind is blessedly empty. You are too tired to think, too tired to dream. As you close your eyes, sleep comes instantly, a deep, black, and dreamless oblivion. It is the profound absolute sleep of pure physical depletion, the only reward for a life lived in the heart of the machine. And in 8 short hours, the bell will clang again, and you will descend once more into the fire. Of course, for this 5th and final part, we will ascend to the pinnacle of the great ship's society. We will explore a world of unparalleled luxury, effortless comfort, and serene privilege, all crafted in the same immersive, sensory style. This part is approximately 4,600 words long. Titanic, A Fateful Voyage Part 5, A Gilded World. Video opens with a dark screen. The ambient sound is exceptionally quiet, the faintest, almost imperceptible hum of the ship, overlaid with the gentle, distant sound of a string quartet playing a soft, classical air. It is a sound of peace and refined elegance. Narrator, let us return, for one final time, to the great ship of dreams. Settle deep into the quiet comfort of your own space. Let the weight of the day fall away from your shoulders. We have explored the hopeful dormitories of steerage. We have felt the searing heat in the heart of the machine. Now, we will ascend to a different world entirely. A world of quiet luxury, of unspoken privilege, where the very air is different, and the journey is not one of hope or toil, but of serene, gilded perfection. Take a slow, calming breath, and let us step into the highest echelons of this floating palace. You awaken not to a sound, but to a quality of light. A soft, gentle, silver light is filtering into your room, its source not a small, round porthole, but a large, rectangular window, framed with heavy, velvet curtains that have been partially drawn. The light catches the dust motes dancing in the still air, turning them into a cascade of tiny, glittering diamonds. There is no jarring noise, no cough from a nearby bunk, no clang of a bell. There is only a profound and luxurious silence, a silence that is itself a statement of wealth. You are lying in the center of a large, soft bed. The sheets are not merely clean. They are fine Irish linen, impossibly smooth and cool against your skin. The pillows are not stuffed with straw, but with soft, yielding goose down, cradling your head in a cloud of comfort. A thick, silk-filled eiderdown lies atop you, its weight light but its warmth complete. The mattress beneath you is deep and forgiving, absorbing the faint, almost imperceptible vibration of the ship's engines so thoroughly that you feel perfectly, peacefully still. You lie for a time in this state of supreme comfort, simply existing. The air in your stateroom is fresh and clean, kept at a perfect, constant temperature by the ship's advanced ventilation system. It carries the faintest, most delicate scent of polished wood, of fresh flowers from a small vase on the writing desk, and of the expensive, lavender-scented soap that sits by your private wash basin. This is not just a cabin. It is a fine hotel room, a private sanctuary that has been carefully designed to insulate you from the realities of travel. When you decide it is time to truly begin your day, you do not get up. You simply reach out to the wall beside your bed and press a small, mother-of-pearl button. It is a summons. A few moments later, you hear a knock on your door, so discreet it is barely audible. A soft tap. You call out, "Come in," and the door opens silently. A steward, dressed in a crisp, immaculate white jacket, enters your room carrying a silver tray. He moves with a quiet deference, his footsteps silenced by the thick, patterned carpet that covers the floor. "Good morning," he says, his voice low and respectful. He places the tray not on a simple desk, but on a small, elegantly carved table by the window. On the tray sits a gleaming silver teapot, a fine-boned china cup and saucer painted with delicate blue flowers, a small pitcher of fresh cream, and a bowl of sugar cubes. He pours the tea for you, the hot, fragrant liquid, steaming in the cool morning air. He then moves to the window and, with a smooth, practiced motion, draws the heavy curtains fully open, flooding the room with the bright, clean light of a new day at sea. He asks if you require anything else, if you would like him to draw your bath. The very question is the height of luxury. A bath, drawn for you, at your command. After the steward has departed as silently as he arrived, you sit up in bed and sip your tea. It is a fine Darjeeling, its flavor complex and delicate. You look out your large window. You see nothing but the endless, deep blue expanse of the Atlantic Ocean, its surface glittering under the morning sun. There is no sight of land, no other ships, only the vast, beautiful emptiness of the sea. The view is yours alone, a private audience with the ocean. When you are ready, you make your way to your private bathroom. This is not a shared washroom with a trickle of cold water. This is a sanctuary of marble and porcelain. A full-size bathtub stands on clawed feet, the taps gleaming brass. There is a flushing toilet, a marvel of modern plumbing. The sink is set in a marble vanity, with large fluffy towels folded neatly beside it. You turn the hot water tap, and steam immediately begins to fill the air, carrying the scent of the expensive floral-scented soap. The simple, daily act of washing becomes a luxurious, spa-like ritual. Dressing is an equally unhurried and pleasant affair. Your clothes are not hanging on a simple hook. They have been carefully unpacked from your large leather trunk by your steward, and are now hanging in a spacious cedar-lined wardrobe. You have a wide array of choices: a fine tweed suit for a walk on the deck, a lighter linen jacket for the lounge. You select your outfit for the morning, the fabrics soft and expertly tailored. Every item, from your silk socks to your polished leather shoes, is of the highest quality, designed for comfort and to signal your status. When you are finally ready to leave your stateroom, you step into a corridor that is a world away from the lower decks. It is wide, bright, and silent. The walls are paneled in a soft, cream-colored wood, adorned with elegant light fixtures that cast a gentle, welcoming glow. The air is still and quiet. You hear no shouting, no crying children, only the distant, faint notes of the ship's orchestra practicing for the day. Your destination is the first-class dining saloon, but on your way, you pass the top of the grand staircase. You pause, as you always do, to admire its beauty: the polished oak, the intricate wrought iron grills. The great glass dome above that bathes the entire space in natural light. The famous clock, depicting honor and glory crowning time, is a masterpiece of carving. Watching the other passengers ascend and descend this staircase is like watching a scene from a play. The elegant ladies in their long skirts and fashionable hats, the distinguished gentlemen in their tailored suits. It is a parade of wealth, power, and Edwardian grace. You enter the dining saloon. The room is vast, stunning. It's white, Jacobean style, paneling stretching up to a high, vaulted ceiling. The morning sun streams through the huge bay windows, glinting off the heavy silver cutlery and the crystal glasses that adorn each table. The atmosphere is one of hushed reverence. The clink of a fork against a plate sounds loud in the quiet room. Conversations are held in low, discreet tones. Gentlemen rustle their newspapers, turning the pages of the Times, which has been printed overnight aboard the ship with the latest news received by wireless telegraph. A Mortar D, who seems to know every passenger by name, greets you with a slight bow and leads you to your table. A waiter, silent and attentive, immediately appears to pull out your chair. He drapes a thick linen napkin across your lap. The menu he presents you with is not a simple list. It is a booklet offering a dizzying array of choices: freshly squeezed orange juice, stewed figs, oatmeal, puffed rice, a selection of fresh fish, eggs cooked in any style imaginable, boiled, fried, poached, scrambled, omelets with a choice of fillings, grilled mutton chops, savory minced chicken, fried ham, and of course, endless toast, rolls, and pastries, served with butter and a selection of fine preserves. You make your selection, and the food arrives with a swift, silent efficiency. Each dish is perfectly cooked, beautifully presented on the ship's custom-made cobalt blue and gold trimmed bone china. You eat slowly, savoring the flavors, enjoying the quiet, peaceful atmosphere. This is not just a meal, it is an experience, a ritual designed to start the day in the most civilized and pleasant way possible. After breakfast, the day is yours, to fill with a variety of leisurely pursuits, all designed to ward off the slightest hint of boredom. You might decide on a brisk walk. You make your way to the promenade deck, a vast, wide, and sheltered space reserved exclusively for first-class passengers. The deck is so long that a few laps constitute a respectable walk. You see other passengers strolling, their pace unhurried. They greet each other with polite nods. The air is fresh and salty, but you are protected from the full force of the wind by a wall of spaced windows. The feeling is one of being both at sea and yet perfectly insulated from its raw power. Perhaps after your walk, you feel the need for some more strenuous exercise. You make your way to the ship's gymnasium. It is a bright, airy room, filled with the latest marvels of physical culture. There is a rowing machine, stationary bicycles, and even a strange contraption called an electric camel, a mechanical saddle that simulates the motion of a real camel for liver stimulation. A professional instructor is on hand to guide you through the use of the equipment. It is all very modern, very scientific, and very exclusive. If you desire a more intellectual pursuit, you can retire to the ship's library. It is a magnificent room, paneled in dark, rich mahogany, with ornate plasterwork on the ceiling. Deep, comfortable armchairs upholstered in green leather are scattered throughout, perfect for sinking into with a good book. The shelves are filled with hundreds of leather-bound volumes, a comprehensive collection of classics and contemporary works. A gentle, scholarly silence pervades the room, broken only by the soft rustle of a turning page. Large stained glass windows at the end of the room depict allegorical figures, casting colored light onto the plush carpet. It is a perfect sanctuary for quiet contemplation. For a truly unique experience, you might visit the heated swimming pool, located deep within the ship. The very idea of swimming in a pool of warm salt water in the middle of the cold Atlantic is a testament to the ship's incredible engineering. The room is tiled in blue and white, the water glistening under the electric lights. It is a strange and wonderful sensation to float weightlessly while the great ship moves beneath you. For the ultimate in relaxation, you could spend an hour in the Turkish bath complex. It is like stepping into another world, a fantasy of the Orient realized in tile, brass, and steam. You can relax in the temperate room, with its ornate blue and green tiles and comfortable lounge chairs. You can move to the hot room, allowing the thick, hot steam to open your pores and soothe your muscles. Afterwards, you can receive a professional massage, or simply cool down in the elegant cooling room, reclining on a velvet-covered divan. It is an experience designed to melt away any trace of stress, leaving you feeling utterly relaxed and pampered. Lunch is a less formal affair than dinner, often taken in the veranda cafe, a bright, cheerful space decorated to feel like an English country garden with trellis-covered walls and wicker furniture. Here you can enjoy a light meal while looking out at the endless ocean. The afternoon passes in a similar haze of pleasant leisurely activity, a game of bridge in the first-class lounge, a nap in your quiet stateroom, perhaps writing letters on the ship's official stationery at one of the desks in the writing room. Time moves differently here. It is not something to be endured or filled, but something to be savored, like a fine wine. As evening approaches, the social rhythm of the ship intensifies. The ritual of dressing for dinner is a serious and elaborate affair. You return to your stateroom to find that your steward has laid out your evening attire. For a gentleman, this means a full tuxedo, a starched white shirt with a winged collar, a white bow tie, and patent leather shoes. For a lady, it is a magnificent evening gown of silk or satin, perhaps adorned with lace or beads, along with long silk gloves, fine jewelry, and an elaborate hairstyle. Before the meal, passengers gather in the reception room, a stunning space adjoining the dining saloon. The orchestra is playing softly, a gentle backdrop to the quiet hum of conversation. People sip on cocktails, sherry, or champagne, their voices low, their laughter discreet. It is a parade of elegance, a gathering of the wealthiest and most influential people in the world, all brought together in this floating palace. Dinner itself is the grand event of the day. The 10-course meal is a culinary masterpiece, a journey through the finest traditions of French haute cuisine. Oysters, consomme, poached salmon, filet mignon, roasted duckling, and elaborate sweet desserts. Each course is paired with a specific fine wine, selected by the ship's sommelier. The service is flawless, the timing impeccable. The meal can last for hours, a slow, magnificent ritual of food, wine, and conversation. After dinner, the night is still young. You might retire to the smoking room, a melancholy domain of dark wood paneling, leather armchairs, and stained glass for a brandy and a cigar. Or perhaps you will take coffee and liqueurs in the lounge, listening as the orchestra plays popular tunes of the day. Finally, utterly contented, you decide to retire for the night. You take one last stroll on the boat deck. The night air is cold and clear. The sky is a black velvet cloth, strewn with a breathtaking number of brilliant stars. The ship glides smoothly, powerfully, through the calm, black water. The only sound is the gentle swish of the waves against the hull and the faint music drifting up from the lounges below. You return to your stateroom to find that your steward has been there once more. The bed has been turned down, a carafe of fresh water has been placed on your nightstand, and your clothes have been tidied away. You slip into your silk pajamas and climb into the soft, welcoming bed. You feel a profound sense of well-being, of absolute safety and security. You are in a perfect, gilded world. A world where every need is met before you are even aware of it. A world of supreme comfort and unshakable confidence. As you close your eyes, lulled by the almost imperceptible motion of the ship, you drift into a deep and peaceful sleep, utterly serene, completely unaware that this perfect, indestructible world is as fragile as a dream, and that it is floating, suspended over a deep, dark, and icy abyss. Settle in, and let the world outside your room fade away. Allow the gentle weight of your blankets to be your only anchor. We have walked the decks of this great ship, from the hopeful crowds in steerage to the serene luxury of first class. We have felt the searing heat of its heart. Now, we will journey to its voice and its ears. We will enter a small wooden shack, perched high on the boat deck, a place where the air itself crackles with invisible messages, and where the vast, lonely ocean is filled with the electric whispers of humanity. Quiet your mind, feel your breathing, slow, and let us enter the world of the wireless. Your world is a small, soundproofed room, paneled in simple, dark wood. The air inside is always warm, carrying the unique, clean scent of ozone and hot electronics. This is the Marconi room, the nerve center of the ship's connection to the world, and you are one of its keepers. Your shift began hours ago, and you are deep into its familiar rhythm. Outside this room, the ship is a floating city of leisure and social ritual. But in here, the only clock that matters is the steady, relentless pulse of the electric spark. The room is dominated by the equipment. On a long table before you sits the apparatus of your trade, the polished brass and ebonite of the receiver, with its delicate tuning coils and crystal detectors, the heavy, black key of the transmitter, its surface worn smooth by the constant tapping of your fingers, and behind a partition, the source of the room's power and noise, the rotary spark gap transmitter. When it is active, it fills the room with a deafening, crashing roar, a miniature lightning storm harnessed to send human thought across hundreds of miles of empty ocean. When it is silent, a low, steady hum from the motor generator persists, the sound of potential energy waiting to be unleashed. Your ears are encased in a heavy leather headset. Through it, you hear the language of the ether. It is a constant stream of sound, a river of static, hisses, and pops. But your trained ear has learned to filter out the noise, to listen for the signal. You are listening for the faint, musical tones of Morse code, the dots and dashes that represent letters, words, and messages from ships and shore stations far beyond the horizon. It is a lonely, focused, and deeply intimate form of communication. You are eavesdropping on the whispers of the world. For hours, your work has been a steady, methodical flow of passenger traffic. The Titanic, being the newest and most luxurious ship on the sea, is also a vessel of immense prestige. Its first-class passengers are a collection of the world's wealthiest and most powerful individuals, and they are accustomed to being connected. They treat the wireless not as a miracle, but as a convenience, an extension of the telegraph office at home. And so, a river of their words flows through your fingers. You take a message form from the pile. It is written in elegant cursive on a sheet of the ship's official stationery. It is from a gentleman in a deluxe parlor suite on B-deck. You read the words, your mind translating them into the language of code. By 500 Union Pacific at Market Open. A command to a broker in New York. A fortune being rearranged from the middle of the ocean. You place the form on the stand. Take a breath, and your fingers find the telegraph key. The switch is thrown, and the room explodes with sound. The deafening, rhythmic crash of the spark gap transmitter fills the air. A sound so loud it vibrates in your chest. Your hand begins to move. A series of quick, precise taps. ... dash, dash, dot. Each press of the key closes a circuit, unleashing a bolt of electrical energy into the massive aerial wires strung between the ship's masts. The message flies from your fingertips, a silent, invisible arrow shot into the night, aimed for the powerful coastal station at Cape Race, Newfoundland, who will then relay it to the stock exchanges of New York. The work is demanding. Your sending style, what other operators call your fist, must be perfect, clear, well-spaced, and rhythmic. Any sloppiness, and the message becomes unintelligible through the static. You are a craftsman, a musician of the ether, your instrument this simple, brass key. You finish the message, release the key, and the roaring silence returns, replaced by the gentle hum of the machinery at rest. Another message comes from the steward. A lady is sending a note to her sister in Boston, arriving Tuesday, where the beautiful ship is divine. Love, Millicent. You process this one as well. The powerful spark carrying this simple, happy sentiment out into the vast, cold emptiness. You are a conduit for business, for pleasantries, for gossip. You hear about dinner parties being planned, romantic liaisons being arranged, stock market triumphs and anxieties. You are the ship's confessor, its messenger boy, the silent, invisible weaver of its social fabric. The pressure is immense. There is a mountain of these messages, a backlog of commercial traffic that has been piling up since the ship left Southampton. The wireless system had a minor breakdown earlier in the voyage, and you and your partner have been working tirelessly to catch up. The company makes money on every word sent, and the passengers expect flawless, immediate service. You often work longer than your official watch, your meals taken at your desk, your sleep cut short. The fatigue is a constant companion, a dull ache behind your eyes, a slowness in your fingers that you have to consciously fight. Through the endless stream of passenger traffic, other, more important whispers occasionally make their way through. The static, these are the messages from other ships, the professional conversation of the sea. Earlier in Thede, a message arrived from the French liner. The terrain reported passing a field of ice. Later, another ship, the Coronia, sent a message directly to the Titanic's captain, reporting bergs, growlers, and field ice. You receive the message, your pen scratching it down in the logbook. The headphones are tight against your ears, your focus absolute as you decipher the faint, musical tones from the static. You write it down, pass it to a steward to be taken to the bridge, and then you turn back to your work. Another passenger wants to send a telegram about the price of rubber in London. The ice warning is important, yes, but it is one piece of information among hundreds. The captain is an experienced man. The ship is a marvel of engineering. The warnings are noted, logged, and then the river of commercial traffic demands your attention once more. The day bleeds into night. The flow of messages from the passengers lessens as they go to dinner, to their card games, to their concerts. The ether becomes a little quieter. You use the lull to try and make contact with Cape Race again, to clear more of the backlog. The atmospheric conditions are strange tonight. The air is exceptionally cold and still, which should make for clear transmission. But there is a strange quality to the static, and signals from other ships seem to come and go unpredictably. You take a short break, stepping outside the wireless shack and onto the boat deck for a moment. The cold is shocking. It is a deep, biting, windless cold that feels utterly alien. The sky above is a black velvet curtain, punched through with a billion stars. Their light so clear and sharp it feels as though you could reach out and touch them. The sea is unnervingly calm, a flat, black sheet of glass that perfectly reflects the starlight. The ship glides through the water with a smooth, effortless confidence, a warm and brilliant world of its own, sailing through a silent, frozen cosmos. You shiver, not entirely from the cold, and retreat back into the warm, humming cocoon of your shack. Later in the evening, another message comes through, this one from the steamer, Mesaba. It is another ice warning, but this one is more specific, more urgent. It reports much heavy pack ice and a great number of large icebergs. It gives precise coordinates that the Titanic is sailing directly towards, but the message is not prefixed with MSG, the 3 letters that designate it as an official message for the captain that must be delivered immediately. It is treated as a piece of general information for the watch. You are in the middle of a frantic effort to transmit the last of the passenger messages to Cape Race. The signal is strong, and you do not want to lose it. The Mesaba's warning is important, but the backlog is a weight on your shoulders. You jot it down on a piece of paper, placing it under a paperweight on the desk. You will see that it gets to the bridge later, when you have a moment. You must not lose contact with Cape Race. The hours wear on. The fatigue is a heavy cloak now. Your partner has taken over the key, and you are trying to catch a few moments of rest on the small cot in the adjoining silent room. But sleep is difficult. The sound of the spark, even muffled, is still present, and your mind is still racing with dots and dashes. With stock prices and dinner invitations, you drift in and out of a light, restless sleep. You are aware of your partner still at work, his fist on the key, a steady, familiar rhythm. You hear him communicate with another ship nearby, the Californian. Their operator is telling you they are stopped, surrounded by ice. Your partner, tired and irritable from the long hours and the pressure, sends back a curt reply, "Keep out, I am busy. I am working Cape Race." It is a moment of professional frustration, a desire to be left alone to do the job. The Californian's operator signs off, and their faint signal vanishes from the ether. The night becomes a little quieter. Finally, the backlog is cleared. A sense of weary relief fills the small room. The relentless pressure of the past few days has eased. You can finally rest properly. Your partner is finishing his watch, and you are preparing to take over for the quiet, late-night hours. The ship sails on, smooth and steady. The hum of the generator is a comforting, constant presence. The world feels normal, orderly. The work is done. You are sitting at the desk, perhaps logging the final messages of the day. When it happens, it is not a crash, it is not a violent explosion. It is a feeling, a long, low, subtle, grinding shudder that runs through the entire frame of the ship. It is as if a giant hand has taken hold of the vessel's keel and shaken it, a deep, sickening, the vibration that lasts for several long seconds. The lights in the shack flicker, dimming for a moment, and the steady hum of the motor generator wavers, its pitch dropping for a second before catching again. Then, silence. The engines, the great, powerful heart of the ship, whose thrum has been the constant soundtrack to your entire voyage, have stopped. The silence is absolute, deafening, and terrifying. It is a void where a powerful presence used to be. You look at your partner, your eyes wide in the quiet, humming light of the wireless room. You don't need to speak. The same question is in both of your minds. What was that? Outside your small, insulated world of sparks and whispers, the ship is coasting to a halt in the middle of the dark, frozen ocean. The laws of physics have just asserted themselves against the pride of man, and you, sitting at the very nexus of communication, the ship's ear to the world, have no idea that your job has just changed. You are no longer a messenger of pleasantries and stock trades. In a few short minutes, you will become the voice of the dying, and your signals will change from commercial traffic to a desperate, frantic plea for help, a cry for salvation shot into the cold, indifferent night. But for now, in this one, brief, terrifying moment, there is only the profound, unnatural silence and a dawning sense of pure, unadulterated dread. Let your body grow heavy and your mind grow still. We are returning to the great ship, to a place we have not yet ventured. We will leave the staterooms and the stokeholds behind. Our journey tonight takes us into the culinary heart of the vessel, the massive, gleaming kitchens where art, science, and sheer brute force combine to fuel the floating palace. Feel the gentle rise and fall of your own breathing, and let us descend into the world of steam, fire, and food. Your day begins in the deep, dark hours of the morning, long before the first passenger stirs in their silken sheets. You are woken not by a bell or a steward, but by the force of habit, an internal clock honed by years of early rising. You are on a simple bunk in a cramped crew cabin, deep in the forward section of the ship. The air is cool and still, carrying the faint, clean smell of carbolic soap used to scrub the floors. The only sound is the gentle breathing of the other young men who share your quarters, all of them, like you, part of the small army of the kitchens. You slide out of bed, your bare feet meeting the cold scrubbed floor. You dress in the dim light, your movements quiet and practiced so as not to wake the others. Your uniform is simple, rough spun trousers, a white linen shirt, and a long white apron. These are the humble vestments of your trade. You are a kitchen porter, one of the lowest rungs on the galley ladder, but a vital cog in the immense machine. You make your way through the silent, sleeping corridors of the crew quarters. It is a lonely walk. The great ship around you is quiet, its engines a distant, steady thrum, its passengers lost in dreams of the world they have left behind, or the one they are sailing towards. But you are moving towards the place where the ship's daily pulse begins. You are heading to the kitchens. As you approach, the air begins to change. The neutral smell of the corridors gives way to a faint, yeasty scent of bread, the ghost of yesterday's baking. You push through a set of swinging doors and step into another world. The first-class galley. At this hour, it is a place of cathedral-like silence and gleaming potential. It is a vast, white-tiled cavern, astonishing in its size and complexity. The electric lights are off, and the space is lit by the gentle, yellow hiss of a few gas lamps, which cast long, dancing shadows. The first thing that strikes you is the sheer amount of metal. Hanging from racks on the ceiling are hundreds of copper pots, pans, and molds, their surfaces polished to a brilliant, rosy gleam. They look like a strange, metallic constellation in the dim light. The centerpiece of the room is the main cooking range, a monstrous black iron beast, 50 feet long, with dozens of ovens, stovetops and grills. It is cold and silent now, sleeping. Along the walls are vast wooden chopping blocks, scrubbed white, and long, stainless steel tables that shine, even in the low light. The air smells of brass polish, soap, and the faint underlying aroma of 1,000 meals cooked in this very room. Your first job of the day is one of quiet ritual. You and a few other early risers are tasked with bringing the kitchen to life. You take a long taper, light it from one of the gas lamps, and begin to light the pilot lights on the massive ranges. A small pop, a gentle whoosh, and a tiny blue flame appears, a small soul in the heart of the great iron beast. Soon, the head cooks will arrive, and the ranges will be brought to their full, roaring heat. But for now, you are simply planting the seeds of the fire. Your next task is one of pure, mind-numbing labor. You are led to the potato room, a small, cool chamber off the main galley. Here, sacks of potatoes are piled high, a small mountain of earth-caked tubers. Your job, for the next hour, is to peel them. You sit on a low stool with a bucket between your knees and a small, sharp knife in your hand. You fall into a steady, hypnotic rhythm. Pick up a potato, feel its cool, rough skin. The knife moves in a spiral, the peel falling away in a single, long strip. The pale, naked potato is dropped into a bucket of clean water. Pick up another. Repeat. Your world shrinks to this single, repetitive task. The only sounds are the soft thud of peeled potatoes hitting the water and the gentle scrape of your knife. It is not glamorous work. It is not culinary art, but it is essential. Every grand meal served in the opulent dining room, every delicate garnish, begins here. With these simple, foundational tasks, you are preparing the canvas upon which the chefs will paint. As you work, the rest of the kitchen slowly awakens. More lights are turned on, the clatter of pots begins, and the murmur of voices grows. The great ranges are fully lit, and a deep, foundational heat begins to radiate through the room, pushing back the morning chill. The head chefs arrive, imposing figures in their tall white hats, their toques blanches. They are French, mostly, and their commands ring out in a sharp, guttural torrent of French and broken English. The atmosphere shifts instantly from quiet preparation to one of focused, intense energy. The first-class breakfast service is a symphony of controlled chaos, and you are a humble instrument in the percussion section. The smells are the first thing to overwhelm you. The rich, nutty aroma of coffee brewing in giant silver urns. The salty, savory scent of bacon sizzling on the massive griddles. The sweet, warm smell of bread and pastries baking in the ovens. The sharp, tangy scent of hundreds of oranges being squeezed for fresh juice. The air becomes thick and delicious. A complex perfume of a dozen different meals being prepared at once. The sounds are a frantic, rhythmic music. The rapid-fire chop of a chef's knife dicing onions with impossible speed. The sizzle and pop of food hitting hot pans. The clang of heavy pots being moved on the ranges. The shouting of orders. We, chef service, meant waiters in their crisp uniforms rush in and out, their feet slipping on the perpetually damp floor, shouting their orders, and rushing back out with trays laden with gleaming silver cloches. Your role in this madness is to keep up. Your petit done. You are now assigned to the scullery. This is the engine room of the kitchen, the hot, wet, and noisy corner where the pots and pans are washed. The work is relentless. A mountain of greasy, food-encrusted copper and iron cookware is constantly arriving, and it is your job to scrub it clean and get it back to the chefs as quickly as possible. You stand at a massive, deep soapstone sink, your hands plunged into steaming, greasy water. You scrub with a stiff brush, your muscles straining to remove the stubborn remnants of scrambled eggs and fried bacon. The steam rises in your face, and the constant clatter of metal on stone is deafening. There is no time to think, only to do. Scrub, rinse, stack, scrub, rinse, stack. A waiter shouts for a specific pan, and you have to find it, clean it, and get it to him in seconds. The pressure is immense. A delay in the scullery can cause a chain reaction that slows down the entire kitchen. Through the steam and the noise, you catch glimpses of the culinary artistry happening on the other side of the kitchen. You see a chef delicately plating a dish of grilled kippers, arranging them just so, adding a sprig of parsley and a wedge of lemon. You see another whisking a hollandaise sauce, his arm a blur of motion. It is a world away from your own reality, of hot water and grease, but you are connected to it. His art is impossible without your labor. After the breakfast rush subsides, there is a brief lull, but the work does not stop. Now, the preparation for the multi-course lunch begins, and you are given a new task, a journey into another part of the ship. A junior cook in the second-class galley needs a specific type of spice, and their own pantry is out. You are tasked with delivering it. You leave the gleaming, white-tiled world of the first-class galley and descend further into the ship. The second-class galley is smaller, less grand. The copper pots are fewer, the range is less massive. The chefs are not all French, and the atmosphere is slightly less frantic. The food they are preparing is different, too. Not grilled mutton chops and elaborate omelettes, but simpler fare, like grilled sausages, hash, and baked fish. It is still fine food, but it lacks the extravagant flourish of first class. Your errand takes you deeper still, down to the third class galley. The change is even more pronounced. This space is purely functional. There are no tiled walls, only painted steel. The equipment is more basic. There are no individual dishes being prepared here. Instead, giant, steaming vats hold the day's meals. Today, it is a thick, hearty beef stew and boiled potatoes. The smell is simple and savory. The food is designed not for pleasure, but for sustenance. It is fuel for the thousands of people in steerage, dreaming of a new life. Your short journey through the 3 kitchens has been a tour of the ship's rigid social structure, a hierarchy perfectly rendered in food. You return to your post in the first-class galley. The long afternoon is dedicated to the mise-en place, the painstaking preparation for the grand 10-course dinner. This is where the real work, the true artistry, begins. Your task for the afternoon is to prepare vegetables. You are given a crate of asparagus and told to trim and peel each stalk to a precise length. You stand at a long steel table, your knife moving with a steady, practiced rhythm. Trim, peel, place in ice water. Trim, peel, place in ice water. Your mind goes numb, your focus narrowed to this one, simple, repetitive task. The world of the kitchen swirls around you. You hear the rhythmic thud of a butcher breaking down a side of beef. You smell the rich, savory aroma of a veal stock simmering for hours on a back burner. You see a pastry chef carefully piping meringue onto a dessert, his hands steady and precise. You move from asparagus to carrots, which must be turned into perfect 7-sided jewels. You shuck hundreds of oysters, the sharp, salty smell of the ocean filling your nostrils, your hands raw from the rough shells. It is monotonous, exhausting, and strangely peaceful. In the repetition, there is a kind of zen. You are a small but essential part of a grand, complex process. You are building a palace of food, one peeled asparagus spear at a time. As evening approaches, the energy in the kitchen begins to build again, this time to a fever pitch. The dinner service is the main event. the performance for which the entire day has been a rehearsal. The head chef, Auguste Escoffier's prized pupil, stands at the pass, the long hot counter where finished dishes are plated. He is no longer just a chef. He is a general, a conductor, a tyrant. Service. Table 12. To consume 1 oysters. He bellows, his voice cutting through the din. The kitchen explodes into action. The soup station ladles out the hot, clear broth. The cold station arranges the oysters on beds of crushed ice. The plates are assembled with lightning speed and placed under the hot lamps of the pass. The chef inspects them, his eyes missing nothing. He wipes a tiny smudge from the rim of a plate with a clean cloth, then shouts, "I'll go," and a waiter whisks the dishes away. The pace is relentless for the next 3 hours. The symphony of sizzling, chopping, and shouting is at its peak. The heat from the ranges is a physical blow, a wall of fire that makes the air thick and hard to breathe. The floor is slick with water, grease, and dropped food. It is a controlled high-stakes ballet of fire and steel. You are back in the sky, but the mountain of pots is now a towering Everest. For every one of the 10 courses served to the hundreds of first-class passengers, a new set of pots and pans is used. The delicate sauces cannot be made in the same pan as the seared fish. The copper must be pristine for every new task. Your arms ache, your back screams in protest, but you cannot stop. You scrub, rinse, and stack, fueled by adrenaline and the fear of the head chef's wrath. You are the engine that cleans the engine. You see dishes of unimaginable beauty appearing at the pass. Canapes of intricate design, jellied consommes that quiver like amber, whole poached salmon decorated with scales carved from cucumbers, roasted ducks glazed to a perfect, burnished mahogany, and fantastical desserts spun from sugar and cream. It is food as art, food as a declaration of power and wealth, and you know that you, with your chapped hands and aching back, helped to make it possible. Finally, after what seems like an eternity, the last dessert order is called. A collective, unspoken sigh of relief seems to pass through the kitchen. The pressure, which has been at a breaking point for hours, finally begins to ease. The roar of the kitchen subsides to a simmer, then to a murmur. But the work is not over. Now comes the great cleaning. The ranges must be scrubbed, the floors mopped, the chopping blocks bleached, the steel tables polished until they gleam, and the mountain of pots in the scullery must be completely vanquished. You and the other porters work for another 2 hours, your movements slow and heavy with exhaustion. The kitchen is slowly, methodically put to bed, restored to its silent, gleaming state, ready for the cycle to begin all over again in just a few short hours. When you are finally released, you are almost too tired to walk. You trudge back through the now silent crew corridors, every muscle in your body protesting. Your clothes are damp with sweat and steam, and they carry the ghost of 100 different foods. You don't even have the energy to wash properly. You strip down to your undershirt and collapse onto your cot. The bunk has never felt so good. The roar of the kitchen is gone, replaced once more by the deep, steady thrum of the ship's engines. It is a comforting sound. You have done your part. You have fueled the palace. You have fed the dream. Your body is exhausted, but your mind is empty. As you close your eyes, sleep takes you instantly. A deep, black, dreamless sleep. The sleep of a man who has worked himself to the very edge of his endurance. And in the darkness, you do not dream of kings or queens or 10-course meals. You dream, perhaps, of nothing at all. A quiet, blessed void, before the kitchen calls you back to the fire once more. Let your mind settle and your body find rest. Let the sounds of your world recede, replaced by the deep, steady pulse of the ocean liner. We have been a passenger, a stoker, a cook. We have felt the ship's luxury and its labor. Tonight, we will become its architect. We will inhabit the mind of the man who dreamed this vessel into being, who knew its every rivet, its every secret. We will walk the length and breadth of the ship, not as a guest, but as her creator, on a final, loving inspection of his life's greatest work. Close your eyes, breathe slowly, and let us begin. You awaken in your stateroom, at 36, just as the first hint of grey dawn is touching the sea. But you have not been truly asleep. Your mind, even in rest, is never far from the ship. You are Thomas Andrews, and this vessel is more than your creation. It is a living extension of your own mind. The low, steady vibration you feel through the mattress is not just the hum of the engines. It is the ship's pulse, and you are as attuned to it as a doctor is to a patient's heartbeat. You can feel the slight change in rhythm as she increases her speed, the subtle shifts in her balance as she meets the long, rolling swells of the Atlantic dot. Your cabin is one of the finest on the ship, a beautifully appointed suite that is yours by right, a small perk for the managing director of Harland and Wolff, the Belfast shipyard that gave birth to this giant. But you do not see it as a place of leisure. It is your office, your command center. You swing your legs out of bed, foregoing the tea service that other first-class passengers might summon. Your day has already begun. On the large mahogany desk, under the soft glow of an electric lamp, are your true companions, the ship's blueprints. They are vast sheets of paper covered in a complex lacework of white lines on a blue background. To others, they are an incomprehensible web of technical drawings. To you, they are a language, a story. You run your finger over the plan for tracing the path of the squash court, the post office, the crew quarters. You know every measurement, every specification, every compromise and triumph that these lines represent. You dress with a quiet, purposeful efficiency, a well-tailored but practical suit, a stiff collar, a neatly tied necktie. You are a gentleman, but you are a working man, an engineer. Your most important accessory is the small, leather-bound notebook and pencil you slip into your breast pocket. This notebook is your external memory, a repository for the endless stream of observations, thoughts, and improvements that constantly occupy your mind. Stepping out into the silent, carpeted corridor, you begin your daily ritual, a complete, top-to-bottom inspection of the ship. You are not looking for flaws in the sense of danger. You believe with all your heart that she is the safest ship ever built. You are looking for imperfections. You are hunting for ways to make her even better. Notes that will inform the construction of her younger sister. The gigantic. You start your inspection on the boat deck, the highest level of the ship. The morning air is cold, clean, and sharp, with the scent of salt. The wooden deck planks are still damp with sea mist, gleaming in the early light. The first thing you notice is the spacing of the deck chairs. Are they arranged to offer the best views without impeding movement? You make a small, quick note in your book. Consider adding another windscreen near aft grand staircase entrance. Your eyes scan everything with a practiced, critical gaze. You run your hand along the polished teak of the railing. The varnish is smooth, flawless. You look up at the 4 colossal funnels. They are a marvel. But you note the way the smoke from the 4th, a dummy funnel used for ventilation, occasionally eddies in the wind. Adjust ventilator cowls. You're right. You are a man obsessed with the perfection of small details. You make your way to the bridge, the ship's brain. You enter quietly, respectfully. The officer of the watch gives you a nod of greeting. They are used to your presence. You are not here to interfere, only to observe. You love the quiet, professional atmosphere of the bridge. The smell of brass, polish and strong tea. The low murmur of the helmsman receiving his orders. The gentle, rhythmic clicking of the gyro compass. You look at the ship's telegraph, the instrument used to send orders to the engine room. You admire its solid, reliable mechanics. You feel a deep sense of pride in the technology, in the human ingenuity that allows a handful of men on this small platform to command a 46,000-ton vessel with such precision. From the bridge, your inspection takes you into the passenger areas. You descend the grand staircase, not with the awed gaze of a passenger, but with the eye of a craftsman. You note the way the light from the glass dome plays on the oak paneling. You run your hand over the carved pineapple finial, a symbol of welcome and hospitality. You make a note about the carpet runners it wearing as expected. Is the color right? You enter the first-class lounge. The room is empty at this early hour, silent and majestic. You walk through the forest of ornate, carved wooden pillars. You sit in one of the deep, plush armchairs, testing its comfort. You check the reading lamps, the writing desks. You notice a slight discoloration on the plasterwork of the ceiling, likely from a minor leak during the initial fitting out. Repaint ceiling section, starboard corner of lounge, your pencil scratches. No detail is too small. Your journey continues. Through the other public rooms, each a small world of its own. The quiet, scholarly hush of the library, the bright, airy femininity of the reading and writing room, the smoky masculine domain of the smoking room, with its mother of pearl inlaid mahogany and stained glass windows. In each space, you are a ghost, an invisible presence assessing the quality of your own creation. You are not just seeing rooms, you are seeing the flow of human life within them. and you are constantly thinking of how to make that flow more comfortable, more elegant, more perfect. You speak with the staff you encounter. You ask a steward if the new pantry layout is working efficiently. You compliment a deckhand on the polish of the brasswork. You listen intently to their responses. They are the ones who live and work in these spaces every day, and their practical experience is invaluable. You are not an aloof director. You are a hands-on shipbuilder, and you value the knowledge of the men and women who bring your creation to life. Your inspection takes you down into the heart of the service areas, the parts of the ship the passengers never see. You enter the immense first-class galley, a place you know well from its construction. The morning breakfast service is in full swing. You stand for a moment, out of the way, observing the controlled chaos. You are not looking at the food. You are looking at the equipment. Are the new steam-powered ovens holding their temperature? Is the ventilation system coping with the immense amount of heat and steam? You make a note to speak with the chief chef later about the performance of the Rangers. From there, you descend further into the very bowels of the ship. You walk through the long, stark corridors of the lower decks, your footsteps echoing on the steel plates. You are now in the world of the crew, of the engineers, of the Black Gang. You feel the heat long before you arrive, the air growing thick and heavy. You open a watertight door and step into the cathedral of the reciprocating engine room. Sight always fills you with a profound sense of awe. The two massive 3-story high engines, their giant pistons rising and falling in a slow, powerful, and perfectly synchronized dance. The air is filled with the smell of hot oil and steam, and the noise is a rhythmic, thunderous symphony of power. You see the engineers, the greasers, moving through this forest of steel with a practiced confidence, their senses attuned to the health of their machinery. You exchange a nod with the chief engineer, a man you respect immensely. You don't need to speak. The steady, powerful rhythm of the engines tells you everything you need to know. She is running beautifully. You continue into one of the boiler rooms. The blast of heat, the roar of the furnaces, the sight of the stokers, their bodies black with coal dust, their faces grimly determined. You see this place not as a hellscape, but as the ship's furnace of life. You watch the firemen skillfully, feeding the flames, maintaining the precise steam pressure needed to drive the engines. You have an immense respect for these men, for their endurance and their skill. Your designs mean nothing without their labor. You make a mental note to explore a new type of Ashijik 2 system for the gigantic that might make their work a fraction easier. Your journey upwards again takes you through the third class, or steerage, areas. You walk through the general room, observing the passengers. You note the sturdiness of the pine benches, the simple but clean finish of the dining tables. You believe that safety and a degree of comfort are the right of every soul on board, not just the wealthy. You had personally insisted on improvements to the third-class accommodations that went beyond the legal requirements. You watch the families, listen to the blend of different languages, and feel a sense of responsibility for these hopeful people who have entrusted their lives to your ship. By late afternoon, your inspection is complete. You have walked miles of corridors, climbed dozens of staircases, and filled pages of your notebook. You return to the sanctuary of your stateroom. You feel a deep sense of satisfaction. The ship is performing magnificently, even better than you had hoped. She is fast, she is stable, and she is, by all accounts, the most comfortable vessel afloat. You spend the last hours of daylight at your desk, collating your notes. You are creating a detailed list of minor alterations and improvements. A different type of David for the lifeboats, not for safety, but for more efficient operation. A modification to the private promenade suites. More hat racks in the first class. Smoking room. A slight change to the galley workflow. These are the thoughts of a perfectionist. A man already thinking of how to improve upon what is already considered the pinnacle of naval architecture. You look at the blueprints for the watertight compartments, a design feature of which you are particularly proud. The ship is divided into 16 such compartments. She is designed to stay afloat with any 2 of them flooded, and even with the first 4 completely breached. She is, you believe, practically unsinkable. The thought is a quiet, confident, and deeply comforting one. As evening falls, you join some of the ship's other dignitaries for dinner. You are a quiet and unassuming man, not one for lavish socializing, but you are also the ship's creator, and your presence is required. You sit at the captain's table, engaging in polite conversation about the voyage, about the weather, about the marvels of the ship. The food is exquisite, the wine perfect, the music from the orchestra a gentle, beautiful accompaniment. All around you is the culmination of your life's work, the warm golden light, the quiet hum of confident conversation, the gentle clink of silver on china, the feeling of absolute stability and security. This is not just a ship, it is a perfectly realized, self-contained world of order, luxury, and safety, and you are its god. After dinner, you excuse yourself. You have one last task. Captain Smith has expressed a concern about a minor vibration in one of the propeller shafts at high speed. You want to investigate it yourself. You descend once more, into the depths, making your way to the turbine engine room, right at the stern. Standing in the roaring hot space, you place your hand on the housing of the massive turbine. You close your eyes, concentrating, feeling the deep, powerful vibrations running through the metal and into your bones. You are listening to the ship, communing with it, feeling its every tremor and sigh. After a thorough check, you conclude the vibration is minor, a harmonic resonance that poses no danger. You make a final note in your book, and then you begin your last ascent of the day. You walk back through your sleeping masterpiece. The lounges are quieter now. The decks are empty, save for a few. You return to your stateroom, tired but deeply content. You stand at your window, looking out at the calm, black, star-dusted sea. The ship glides through the night, a beacon of warmth and life in the immense, cold darkness. She is the greatest thing you have ever made, a powerful, beautiful, and safe vessel, your masterpiece, your legacy. You feel a profound, quiet pride swelling in your chest. You turn from the window, confident in your creation, and prepare for a well-deserved rest, utterly, blissfully unaware that in the darkness ahead, an ancient, silent mass of ice is waiting, and that in just a few short hours, you will be called upon not to improve your perfect creation, but to bear witness to its agonizing, impossible death. Find your place of rest. Let the noise and motion of your world fade into a gentle stillness. We have borne witness to the life and death of a floating city. We have felt its comforts and its terrors. Tonight, our journey takes a different course. We will board another ship, a humble and hard-working vessel making its own way through the dark, unaware that destiny is about to divert its path and thrust it into the pages of history. We will feel the call, the race, and the grim reality of the rescue settle into the quiet, and let us sail with the Carpathia. You are asleep in your cabin, aboard the Cunard liner, RMS Carpathia. The year is 1912, and the night of April 14th is, for you, entirely unremarkable. Your ship is a comfortable and reliable vessel, but it is no palace. It is a workhorse of the Atlantic, currently on a peaceful, eastbound voyage from New York to the Mediterranean. The gentle, steady rhythm of its single engine is a familiar lullaby, a sound you have grown accustomed to over the past few days. It is a slower, more deliberate pulse than that of the new ocean greyhounds, a heartbeat of gentle perseverance. Your cabin is small and functional. The air is cool and smells faintly of salt and lemon-scented wood polish. You are warm beneath a thick wool blanket, dreaming, perhaps, of the sunny ports of Gibraltar and Genoa that await you. The ship sways gently, a predictable, soothing motion. There is absolutely no reason to suspect that this peaceful night is about to be shattered, not by a disaster on your own vessel, but by a faint, desperate cry for help, crackling through the ether many miles away, high above your sleeping head. In the ship's small wireless room, a young operator named Harold Cottam is finishing his long and uneventful watch. He is tired. The airwaves have been quiet. He has already begun to undress for bed, removing his headphones. But a thought occurs to him. He might as well listen in one last time, just to see if the powerful news station at Cape Race is transmitting any news. He clamps the heavy leather headset back over his ears, a final fateful act of diligence. He does not hear Cape Race. Instead, through the gentle hiss of static, he hears the signal. It is faint, but clear, and it is urgent. It is from the new White Star liner, the Grand Titanic, a ship he knows is on its maiden voyage somewhere to the west. He begins to take down the message, a passenger telegram that the Titanic once relayed. But before he can acknowledge it, another message from the great ship bursts through the static, this one frantic, desperate. The letters come in the universal language of Morse code. CQD, the general call of distress. It is followed by MGY, the Titanic's call sign. We have struck an iceberg. The dots and dashes spell out, sinking fast. Come to our assistance. Position 41.46 N, 50.14 W. Cottam freezes. A cold shock, more powerful than the icy Atlantic. Air courses through him. It must be a mistake, a joke. The Titanic, the unsinkable ship. He calls back, his own hand now trembling on the key. Do you know there is a message for you? He asks, his professional instincts kicking in. The reply is immediate and chilling. Come at once. This is a distress signal. Then, the signal changes. The Titanic's operator begins to mix in the new German distress call, SOS. With the old CQD, it is a sign of sheer, unadulterated panic. Cottam does not hesitate. He runs from his shack, half-dressed, his heart pounding in his chest, and bursts onto the cold, dark, and windy bridge. He finds Captain Arthur Rostron, a devout and deeply competent man, who is as startled by the young operator's frantic appearance as he is by the news he brings. Rostron, a veteran of the sea, understands immediately. There is no disbelief, no questioning. There is only action. In the quiet, dim light of the chart room, he quickly calculates the Carpathia's position relative to the Titanic's. They are 58 nautical miles away. Even at the ship's full speed, it will take them at least 4 hours to reach her. 4 hours in the freezing North Atlantic. He knows what that means. A series of commands ring out on the quiet bridge, each one sharp, precise, and world-altering. Turn the ship around. All hands on deck. Shut off all heating and hot water. Call the chief engineer. I want every last ounce of steam you can give me. And down in your cabin, you are jolted from your peaceful sleep. The change is not subtle. It is violent. The gentle, rhythmic thrum of the ship you have grown used to is gone. It is replaced by a frantic, shuddering, high-pitched roar. The entire vessel begins to vibrate with a terrifying intensity, as if it is being torn apart. The floor plates tremble beneath your feet. The walls of your cabin groan. Your water glass rattles on the nightstand. The ship, which had been moving at a leisurely 13 knots, is now being pushed to 17. 18 knots a speed its engines were never designed to handle. It feels as if the captain is trying to rip the very soul out of his vessel. You sit up in your bunk, your heart pounding. You have no idea what is happening, but you know it is something terrible. Has your own ship struck something? Are you in danger? The sounds in the corridor add to the confusion. Hurried footsteps, the sound of doors being knocked on, the urgent, low voices of the stewards. Your own door is knocked upon. A steward, his face pale but his voice steady, tells you the news. Sir, the captain asks that you dress warmly and come to the dining saloon. There is no danger to our ship, but we are going to the aid of the Titanic, which has struck an iceberg and is in distress. The words are difficult to comprehend. The Titanic. The news of its maiden voyage has been in every paper. The biggest, most luxurious, safest ship in the world. In distress, it seems impossible. But the violent, frantic shuddering of your own ship tells you it is real. You dress quickly, pulling on your warmest clothes. As you step into the corridor, you see other passengers, their faces a mixture of sleep, confusion, and fear. You are all being gently but firmly herded towards the public rooms. The ship has been utterly transformed. It is no longer a passenger liner. It is a rescue vessel being driven to the very limits of its endurance. Captain Rostron is taking an immense risk, racing at full speed, at night, through the very same ice field that has evidently crippled the Titanic. He has posted extra lookouts on the bow, in the crow's nest, on the wings of the bridge, all of them straining their eyes against the blackness for the telltale glimmer of ice, down below. The scene is one of controlled, frantic preparation. The ship's 3 doctors, aided by stewards and passenger volunteers, are turning the dining saloons into makeshift hospitals. Tables are pushed aside. The ship's entire supply of blankets, bandages, and medical supplies is laid out. The purser is organizing stores of food and clothing. Every available space is being repurposed for the grim task ahead. In the ship's galleys, another kind of army is at work. The cooks and galley hands, roused from their sleep, are brewing gallons upon gallons of coffee, tea, and hot soup. They are preparing brandy and other stimulants. They know that the survivors they will be receiving, if any, will be suffering from severe shock and life-threatening hypothermia. Warmth and hot liquids will be their first and most important medicine. The smell of brewing coffee begins to fill the ship, a strange, comforting aroma in the midst of the tense, anxious atmosphere. On the open decks, another team of crewmen works in the biting cold. They are preparing for the arrival of lifeboats. Rope ladders are unrolled and hung over the side. Slings, bosun's chairs, and even mail sacks are prepared to haul up those who may be too weak to climb, the children, the injured, the frozen. The ship's own lifeboats are swung out, ready to be lowered if needed. Every detail is being thought of, every possible contingency planned for. You and the other passengers gather in the main lounge. The sense of community is palpable. The initial fear has been replaced by a grim sense of purpose and a profound, anxious dread. People speak in hushed tones. Some pray, others volunteer to help, tearing sheets into strips for bandages, helping the stewards carry blankets. You are all united. In this strange, surreal waiting game, you are all staring into the darkness, racing towards a disaster whose scale you cannot yet comprehend. The hours pass with agonizing slowness. Every minute is a mile gained. The only constant is the violent, relentless shuddering of the ship, as its engines protest their abuse. You can feel the immense strain on the vessel, the groaning of its plates, the trembling of its decks. You are a passenger on a torpedo, a projectile of hope aimed at a point of disaster in the middle of the ocean. Sometime after 2 in the morning, Captain Rostron slows the ship. The lookouts have spotted the first iceberg, then another. The Carpathia has reached the edge of the ice field. The frantic roaring vibration of the engines eases, and the ship begins to pick its way carefully through the treacherous maze of ice. The tension on board becomes almost unbearable. Everyone knows they are close. The ship comes to a dead stop. The engines fall silent. The sudden, profound quiet is as shocking as the initial roar had been. The Carpathia has arrived at the Titanic's last reported position. It is now just before 4 o'clock in the morning. You and the other passengers rush to the windows and out onto the freezing decks. The sight is surreal and terrifying. The ocean is littered with icebergs, some small, others as large as hills, their white peaks glowing eerily under the starlight. The air is so cold it feels like breathing needles, but of the Titanic there is no sign. There are no lights, no looming silhouette, no sounds. The great ship is simply gone. A collective gasp of horror seems to run through the passengers on your deck. The hope that you have been clinging to for the past 4 hours begins to evaporate, replaced by a cold, sickening certainty. You are too late. Captain Rostron begins firing the company's signal rockets. They scream into the sky, exploding in a brief, green flare that illuminates the desolate, icy seascape. One flare, then another, and then an answer. From the darkness, a faint, tiny light, a flare from a lifeboat. The ship, slowly, carefully, moves towards the light, and then you see it. A small boat, crowded with dark figures, rising and falling on the gentle, oily swell of the sea. It is the first of the Titanic's lifeboats, as it draws alongside the Carpathia. A profound, stunned silence falls over your deck. The faces you see in the boat are masks of shock, grief, and utter exhaustion. They are caked in salt and frozen spray. They are wrapped in a motley collection of blankets and fine evening coats. They are the stunned, silent survivors of an unimaginable horror. The crew of the Carpathia springs into action. Ropes are thrown, ladders are lowered. The process of bringing the survivors aboard begins. It is a slow, painstaking, and heartbreaking task. Children are lifted up in canvas bags. Women, some so frozen and weak they cannot stand, are hoisted aboard in slings. Men, their faces etched with the horror of what they have seen, climb the rope ladders with a slow, weary determination. You watch as the first survivor, a woman in a sodden evening gown, is helped onto your deck. She is shivering uncontrollably. Her eyes are wide and vacant. Someone wraps her in 3 thick wool blankets and presses a steaming mug of coffee into her hands, which she holds but does not drink. She stares straight ahead, seeing not the concerned faces around her, but the ghosts she has left behind in the water. As the pale grey light of dawn begins to break, the full, terrible vista is revealed. The ocean is a vast, empty graveyard, dotted with icebergs that now glow a beautiful, deadly pink and gold in the rising sun. And scattered across this beautiful, terrible scene are the other lifeboats, small, lonely clusters of humanity, waiting patiently for their turn to be saved. There is no sign of the Titanic but for a scattering of deck chairs and a single, floating plank. The great ship has vanished completely. taking more than 1,500 souls with her into the deep, silent abyss. The race against dawn has been won. You have arrived. But as you stand on the deck of the Carpathia, watching the slow, grim, and heartbreaking work of rescue continue, you understand that the night's true horror is only just beginning to be understood. You have sailed into the middle of a legend, a story of tragedy and loss that will be told for 100 years. And the memory of these faces, these silent, frozen survivors being pulled from the sea at dawn, will be with you for the rest of your days. Come and rest one final time. Let the world you know be replaced by the gentle rocking of a ship on a calm sea. We have sailed on a maiden voyage. We have felt the chill of the ice. We have heard the roar of the furnaces and the whisper of the wireless. We have lived the story. Now, we will bear witness to its final chapter, its rediscovery. Our journey takes us to the year 1985, aboard a ship of science, on a quest to find a legend. Settle into the stillness. Let your breathing be your only rhythm, and let us join the search for the Titanic. You are in the control room of the research vessel Nor, a sturdy, hard-working ship sailing in the vast emptiness of the North Atlantic. The year is 1985. Outside, the ocean is the same timeless entity it was 73 years ago, but inside this room, the world is one of modern technology. The air does not smell of coal, smoke and polish. It smells of warm electronics, brewed coffee, and the faint, clean scent of air conditioning. The light is not the warm glow of Edwardian bulbs, but the cool, blue-green luminescence of CRT monitors and instrument panels. You are part of a joint French-American expedition, a team of oceanographers, engineers, and dreamers, and you have been at sea for weeks. Your mission is a needle in a haystack, search of impossible scale, to find the wreck of the RMS Titanic. The mood in the control room, the nerve center of the search, is one of weary, patient, and almost exhausted hope. The initial excitement of the expedition has long since worn off, replaced by the grinding monotony of the search. Your world is a small, darkened room, filled with the gentle hum of equipment. Your focus, for hours on end, is a bank of video monitors. The primary screen shows the feed from Argo, the unmanned deep-sea submersible that is your eye in the abyss. Argo is being towed on a long cable, flying silently 100 feet above the seabed, 2.5 miles directly beneath your ship. The other screens show sonar readouts, navigational charts, and data streams. The work is a long, slow, and painstaking process known as mowing the lawn. The Nor moves methodically, back and forth across a designated 150 square mile search area, towing Argo along with it. The goal is to survey every square inch of the seafloor, looking for any anomaly, any sign of something that is not flat. Empty mud. You have fallen into the rhythm of the long watch. You sit in a comfortable, modern chair, your eyes fixed on the main screen. The view from Argo's cameras is hypnotic and deeply, profoundly lonely. It is a landscape from another planet. You are flying over the abyssal plain, a vast, featureless desert of pale brown mud or ooze. The submersible's powerful lights cut a pool of brightness out of an otherwise absolute and eternal darkness, a darkness that has not been touched by sunlight for millions of years. The hours blur together. The only way you know if it is day or night is by looking at the ship's chronometer on the wall. Down on the seafloor, there is no day or night. There is only the endless, silent, pressurized, dark. You watch the screen, your mind lulled by the slow, steady progress. The seabed scrolls by, a never-ending panorama of mud. Occasionally, the featureless landscape is broken, a strange outcropping of rock, a long, mysterious furrow of unknown origin. Sometimes, a creature from the deep will drift through Argo's lights, a ghostly bioluminescent squid or a strange, translucent fish. Its body evolved to withstand pressures that would crush a human instantly. These moments are a brief, welcome distraction from the monotony. The only other sound, besides the hum of the ship, is the rhythmic, gentle ping, ping, ping of the side-scan sonar. It is a sound that gets into your bones, the soundtrack to your search. It is the sound of your ship calling out into the deep, and the long, silent wait for an echo that is different. An echo that speaks of twisted steel instead of soft mud. You drink endless cups of coffee, the bitter hot liquid a welcome jolt to your tired mind. You listen to the quiet, professional murmur of the other watchkeepers, the navigator confirming the ship's position, the sonar technician making a small adjustment. The atmosphere is one of intense focus, but it is a low-energy focus, a marathon of the mind. Days have passed like this, nothing. Weeks have passed, nothing. A quiet, gnawing doubt has begun to settle in. The search area is vast. The ocean is immense. The Titanic is, by comparison, a tiny, insignificant speck. The thought that you will fail, that the great ship will remain lost forever, is a constant, unspoken presence in the room. You know the stories of the ship by heart. You have studied the deck plans, the survivor testimonies, the accounts of the sinking. In your mind, the Titanic is a place of light, of music, of life. It is the grand staircase, the bustling dining rooms, the hopeful faces in steerage, but the reality you are searching for is a ghost, a tomb, a silent ruin resting in unimaginable cold and darkness. The contrast is a weight on your mind during the long, silent hours of the watch. Then, one night, during the graveyard shift, just before 2 o'clock in the morning, something changes. You are staring at the monitor, your eyes tired, your mind adrift. The screen shows the same endless, rolling landscape of mud that it has for days, but then, an object scrolls into view at the bottom of the screen. It is small, it is angular, it is not a rock, it is man-made. A jolt of adrenaline, sharp and electric, cuts through your fatigue. You lean forward, your face inches from the screen. What was that? You ask, your voice a hoarse whisper in the quiet room. The pilot of the Argo skillfully adjusts the submersible's thrusters, turning it around for another pass. The other members of the watch are alert now, the sleepy atmosphere gone, replaced by a sudden, sharp, breathless tension. Argo flies back over the spot, and there it is again. A piece of metal, twisted and scarred. Then another object appears. It is dark, lumpy. The camera zooms in. It is a piece of coal. Then another, and another. You are not just seeing random debris. You have found a trail dot. The news spreads through the ship like a shockwave. Dr. Ballard is woken. People begin to filter into the control room, their faces filled with a mixture of excitement and awe. The atmosphere is electric. The years of research, the weeks of tedious searching, have led to this moment. You are no longer mowing the lawn. You are now following a path of ghosts, a trail of breadcrumbs leading you towards the final resting place of the legend. The Argo moves forward, slowly, respectfully, following the debris field. The objects become larger and more identifiable. A piece of a porcelain teacup, a mangled silver platter, a bedspring. Each object is a poignant, heartbreaking link to the human life that was so violently extinguished here. These are not just artifacts. They are the last silent remnants of people's lives, of their final, desperate moments. The control room is now packed, but utterly silent. The only sound is the hum of the equipment and the occasional, hushed whisper of identification. That's a wine bottle. Look, a piece of tile from the smoking room floor. You feel a profound sense of reverence, of being in a sacred space. You are the first human eyes to see these things in 73 years. The submersible continues its slow journey. The debris becomes denser. And then, the sonar operator, his voice steady but tight with emotion, says, "I have a massive target, dead ahead." All eyes are on the main screen. You are flying over the field of smaller debris, and then, rising out of the murky darkness ahead, a shape begins to form. It is not a rock, it is a wall, a sheer black wall of riveted steel plates, disappearing up into the impenetrable darkness. Above the submersible's lights, it is a wall built by human hands. Argo begins to ascend, its cameras tilting upwards, climbing the wall of steel. A row of round holes appears, portholes. They are like hollow, vacant eyes, staring out into the eternal night. The submersible continues to rise, and the control room holds its collective breath. And then, it is there. The image is unmistakable, an image you have seen in 100 photographs and drawings, an image that is etched into the collective consciousness of the world. It is the bow of a great ship. Its graceful, knife-like prow is buried deep in the mud, but its form is still perfect, still majestic. The railings are still there, impossibly delicate, draped with rusticles, long reddish-brown icicles of oxidized metal that hang like frozen tears. You can see the anchor chains, the massive capstans, the fallen stump of the foremast. A single whispered word breaks the silence in the control room: Titanic. No one cheers, no one celebrates. The moment is too powerful, too profound. It is a moment of discovery, but also a moment of deep, sorrowful connection with the past. You are not just looking at a shipwreck, you are looking at a tombstone, the final marker for the more than 1,500 souls who were lost here. Many of the people in the room have tears streaming down their faces. For the next few hours, you are all silent witnesses as Argo conducts a slow, respectful tour of the sleeping giant. The submersible glides over the forecastle deck, its lights illuminating the ghostly, silent machinery. It moves aft, over the cavernous, black rectangles that were once the cargo hatches. It rises up to the boat deck, the place where the final, desperate scenes of chaos and bravery played out. You see the bridge, its wooden wheelhouse long since rotted away, leaving only the bronze telemotor on which the helmsman's hands once rested. You see the gaping, dark hole where the forward funnel once stood. Your remote eye glides over the officers' quarters, and you see the ghostly outline of a bed frame through a collapsed wall. You pass over the collapsed roof of the grand staircase, and you peer down into the black, silent void where the magnificent dome and its honor and glory clock once reigned. It is like flying over a ruined, submerged city, a silent, underwater Pompeii. The ship is a ghost of its former self, its pride and glory stripped away by time and the immense pressure of the deep. But it is still there. It is still majestic. Its presence is overwhelming. You are seeing the culmination of a 73-year-old story. You are closing the circle. Your watch ends, but you cannot leave the control room. No one can. You stay, mesmerized, as the first grey light of a new dawn begins to filter through the portholes of the Nor. The ship on the screen below knows no dawn. It will rest forever in the cold, black, and silent depths. You have found the Titanic. The long search is over. The legend has been touched by reality. And for you, sitting here in the quiet hum of a modern research vessel, the world will never feel quite the same. You have looked into the abyss, and you have seen an echo, a silent, sleeping ghost that reminds you of the enduring power of human dreams and the profound, humbling reality of their fragility. The story is over, but the ship, in its long, deep sleep, will dream on forever.